3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasin The Racin.
I'm just going to go straight in and welcome back to the podcast, and truly out of fashion for myself, I'm actually going to do the number 225. That's correct, Josh, isn't it?
It certainly is.
I'm just leaning into you there going, I've just said that now, and we're not going back to the beginning because there was a battery fiasco and we got Hayley Coxon in the corner, like actually who runs a proper podcast. What's your podcast called?
A Rebel Without a Limit.
A Rebel Without a Limit?
Yeah, I know.
How did it? I feel like I'm interviewing you here. Anyway, so we have the Dow Racing team of Johnny Bagnall.
Correct.
Thank God for that. That's it, gets it off. And Ben Stafford, who I thought was Australian, but we'll go into that in another second. And our co-host for the evening is Josh, who's got the sponsor of the episode. Go for it,
So the sponsor of this episode is a new company which is launching on the 17th of October. A company called Motorcomps. So they are the UK's newest motorcycle competition business, and they have kindly set up a 10% discount code for the launch. So the code, well, Grace will put all this in the description, but the code is CTR10. So 10% off everything in the launch period. There's some cracking prizes. You can have a look on the website at www.motorcomps.co.uk. The main prize for the first giveaway is a brand new Tuono V4 1100 factory or £10,000 cash free. The launch price of the ticket is £1.87 plus you're Chasing the Racing discount.
First question, if you won that, would you go cash or the prize?
Cash.
Yeah.
Cash.
You can't knock cash, can you? You know when you see these competitions all over the country, like I'm sponsored by Lucky Day Competitions, and every time you just go, yeah, that's a nice tractor. Can we just say, what's the 25 grand? Take my money. Take my money.
What about you? Would you take an Aprilia at the roads?
Well, saying that, I'll tell you what, we're going to jump straight in. I think Mike Brown hopped on an Aprilia this year. First person to take it there, and he did a 130 mile an hour lap on it. Mm-hmm. And now he took the team from this paddock.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of leaning on you two for the answer here. What was that team called?
Ian Newton.
Ian Newton.
Yeah.
That's right. But when you think, who else you got? The Sencat team on the Aprilias at the moment. You got Lewis Rollo, who's already won
Pathway.
Thank you very much. I'm literally getting you lot to finish my sentences here. We're a team here today. We're a team. And then you've got in Stockhausen, you've got
Josh Owens.
God, I'm glad you're on the ball. Angry little scouse. He's not even an angry little scouse man. He's a genuine, lovely scouse man.
He's like the least angry person you'd ever meet.
But put him on a motorcycle though. Yeah. Have you seen him ride a bike? If you sit him
I've seen him eat Greg's.
Shout out Josh Owens, what a man. What a man. But like, hold on, who else is on the Aprilias then? Because they're
That's it.
I think that's,
That's it.
But then,
they're a desirable bike.
so this is interesting. So I feel I'm going to give everyone the job titles here for people who are tuning in and not know who they're looking at the moment. We've got Johnny Bagnall, and your big boy title at Dow Racing is...
Big boys are the people, what they call me at home. Team manager during work period, yeah.
And Ben?
Yeah.
Your...
crew chief for Brayden, and then full time at the workshop. So keeping things afloat.
Go on, just say it. Say it from the soul. You run the business. Go on, just say it. He's just a fun. Go on, from the soul.
I can't because my boss is here. I'd have something to say.
Oh, fantastic! But no, obviously you both know you run Dow Kawasaki at the moment, but we'll talk about the future of that later in the show. But is your first job role being involved with the Kawasaki element? Is that right?
So
No.
So back racing wise, originally I was working for a Honda dealership, spannering like anybody else. First racing career move to the team that we're in now, which was known as SHR at the time. That was in 2012, while we're doing the World Championship Supermoto. We had 2 years ago at that. First year, I think we finished second in the World Championship. The next year, we won it with a Finnish guy called Mauno Hamunen. That was in 2013.
Say that after a couple of drinks.
Yeah, Finnish guy. And then, so back then, the first year we started on Hondas and then moved to TM, which is another Italian brand. Maybe that's where my heart lies.
Yeah.
Just a previous Italian brand.
It was paying me the most.
Yeah. So that was a bit of history on there, and then turned our hand to what we call road racing in 2014 with two not so good looking young lads called Mal and Ben.
Yeah.
Is that now? I thought your first connection, as far as, because that was silicon engineering at that point. So when was the transfer in name there?
The transition to SHR to silicon was in 2014, and that was our first go. So we started in the Super Stock 600s with Mal and Ben We actually bought 2 of Chris Walker's old training bikes, 2 ZX6s. So that was our first connection with Kawasaki then. Kawasaki jumped on board, helped us out a bit, usual first off sponsors, bits and pieces, and then has built from there. 2015 was our first year. Was it our first year in the Isle of Man, or did we go 2014?
I think we went 2014.
With Russ Mountford.
Yeah, but that you see, that's where I'm a little bit lost, like, on the timeline, because I genuinely thought it was Russ Mountford first with Silicon. I didn't even know about the Supermoto element.
Oh, yeah, it was years.
I didn't know the Supermoto thing. I thought you were just stock 6. I thought that's what you did first.
Yeah, Russ was being helped, I think, in the background. In 13, I think the owners were sort of showing an interest in the Isle of Man, but we're still obviously running the main focus of the team in the World Supermoto. And then obviously he jumped on board when the team made its transition, and then he was the main focus from 2014 on.
Right, because then obviously, like, even like talking about Malachi and Mitchell. Now, when you obviously were very, very good friends, Ben, with Malachi and Mitchell, like through now, did your first connection?
Both of us, to be fair, because Mal was involved in the Supermoto team.
Yeah.
So,
well, literally, that's the Supermoto element. That's just you're met at the same time.
Yeah.
And now you work for him.
Yeah.
Awkward.
No, it's no, it goes back. It does go back a long way. I probably knew Mal a year or so before Johnny did, or maybe a couple of years before that. But it all kind of got tied in the same time. We spent a lot of years together.
A lot of years, yeah. I was saying in the team currently, probably because we're the longest standing members, when stuff gets wild and crazy, the stuff that we can't talk about on podcasts, we say shit's got SHR.
Yeah.
Because those first 2 years, they were wild.
Yeah. Well, on that note, would you like one of your own sponsored Hawkshead beers, lads? Let's get the
shout out to Hawkshead beer.
Yeah. But no.
Right. You see, this is the thing, because obviously I've met you both, like, we'll go down your full story on that side of things, but I only met you yourself even before I was racing the Isle of Man, and it was a case of like you were working with Russ Mountford, and at that point you two were worlds apart, and you were chubby and good crack then. Now you're tall and sexy. I don't know what happened, you know what I mean? Corporate life's changed you.
Well,
it has. Like, I saw you doing a press release for now Dow Racing. You're in a press shirt, mate. You're from Cumbria.
Well,
what's the matter with you? He's from Cumbria. Like,
see, I say that everybody always, like, everyone you'd speak to in the paddock is like, oh, he's got a white shirt on, and I'm like, I like it.
Does that not, mate? You're his best mate. Did that not fuck with your head the first time that happened?
No, but what was impressive, so 20...
the brown tan shoes.
I think it was... What year was COVID? When we started coming back in COVID?
21, wasn't it?
We'd had a bit of hiatus. I think we'd finished...
so it must have been 21, was it?
21, I think.
Yeah, when I... I remember being at Thruxton, and Dean had gone out in morning warm-up, and he's like, oh, it's jumping out of gear. So Johnny's in his white shirt, comes in, and Dean was kicking off a bit, and then Johnny's like, right, I'll get the one cassette box, you can take the box out. Johnny's like, I'll go do the one in the truck, you get the one out of the bike. So walks into him, sleeves rolled up, in the back of the truck, and everyone sort of says, oh, yeah, white shirt doesn't do anything. And I'm like, because we met each other in the middle. We literally met each other in the middle, handed the other gearboxes back, and just put the other ones back in. And then by the time Dean come back, do you remember? He's like, you going to sort that gearbox? It's like,
it's already done.
So, bring back the white shirt.
How dirty did the shirt get? Let's be honest. Were you holding the cassette gearbox?
I was very careful.
My mum will kill me.
Very careful. No, I do my own washing. There's a disclaimmer there. Do all my own washing.
Of course, you're a family man, aren't you? So how many kids?
Just the one. Just the one. Yeah.
You're very quick to answer that.
Yeah. That I know about.
That I'm aware of. Yeah. No, but like you say, like rolling up your sleeves, like going back to your like I say, I met you out in Cumbria. Like you're into the shooting city. Like you're a countryside fella. Is that a fair comment to say?
Yeah,
or not?
Man of many talents, I think they call it.
Interesting. So where were you born and raised then?
Carlisle.
In Carlisle,
yeah.
In city centre, Carlisle.
Yeah.
All right, so you're not quite a country bumpkin.
No, not from out in the sticks and kicking shit around to start, no.
To start, so how did you actually end up becoming a shit kicker? I love this show. Only on this show. So when did you become a full-time shit kicker?
It is, I've always had an interest. I've always been an outdoorsy type, and it was never one to sit in and play computer games or do this or that. It's just always one with an interest of getting dirty and enjoying country life, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think it's something where I live is in the middle of a wood with no neighbours. It's peaceful. And I've always said you come from the hustle and bustle of racing, of everything's 100 miles an hour and everyone's always at you wanting this, wanting to know that. And I can go back and close the door, open the door in the midst of nothing and just listen to some birds and have some peace. It's quite nice.
Like a couple of years ago, it was, 3-4 years ago even. I remember I bought an engine from your team, and obviously I went up this. He's like, you just sent me, no, Dom, it's up this road and everything like that, right? No problem. Just kept driving and driving. It got darker and darker. I've got a couple of grand in the boot, and I'm going, I don't know how well I know Johnny actually. You know what I mean? And then this car just the boot opens. There's a cracked shotgun in a bag, and I'm like. Oh, finally the end. Hello, Dom, how we doing? Yeah. Johnny, it's all there. The money, every penny's there. Let's just take a breath here, son. Yeah. But no, it's like, so how did you get from city centre Carlisle? You know, what was your first love of bikes? You know, how did you get to your position where you are?
It's a long story. How long have you got? No, bikes wise, bikes is always something my dad's had. It was brought up with them. He's always been into bikes, and I guess it sort of filters down the family. So I still got a motocross bike. I had bits of trials bikes and stuff. I think my first bike was a TY80.
Nice.
And used to roam around the garden in that, thinking I'd be world champion, going, well, what if I do go racing and win everyone? And I was like, you won't. Killed horse, but you won't.
He sounds like a sensible
guy. You won't do that. And anyway, so I think by the time I was 13, I got my first proper motocross bike, which was quite late in those terms, and started racing. I was actually really good at rugby. Among a few other things, and I gave all that into race motocross, which was terrible, absolutely awful. I think I started out, it's last and second last in my first ever race. So that was a good way to give in everything for, but just progressed and kept going from there. And I think after several knee injuries, it sort of ruled me out of progressing any further. At which point I'd already started working at a Honda dealership, and a job opportunity came in the race team, and it's like one of them. It's like, oh, I'm all right where I am. It sounds a bit daunting. You never get those jobs. Applied, got in, and never looked back, to be fair.
Fair play, mate. Fair play.
So when that job came, so was that part of the Honda dealership then, or was that a separate thing?
No, a completely separate thing.
So there was nothing to do, just you were doing that, and
that was it. The team was based in Cumbria, bottom of Cumbria in Kirkby Lonsdale, and the workshop's still there now, but it was there down to the owner's location. Obviously they had the workshop based close to them, and it's an hour and a bit from me to travel down there. Everyone's like, you commute that every day, and it's like, but if there's something you like, if you enjoy your job, it's not work, is it? So, and again, started off in that as a mechanic. It's one thing I've always been really competent at without blowing smoke is building a bike. I can build a fucking brilliant one. As far as management, I just wing it. Everyone does. Yeah, you sort of work your way up, and it's like I can put together a bike really well, and stepped into the crew chief role. Fairly organised. That sort of went, and then asked if you want to run the team, and my first response was like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. It's like, oh, we'll help you along the way, and it's just making sensible choices. It's about being organised, and in this industry, if you've been in it a while, you know what boxes to tick and who to sort of figure out and what to do, and it just sort of it's all coming together, I guess.
Being all serious, that job.
You've been
offer.
serious.
I'm being serious. I know, for the first time ever, know. But when that job offer got presented to you, how close was it just to say no, or was it a definite yes?
It was one of the weirdest job interviews I've ever had. Right,
Johnny, we're fucked. You're in.
Not in that way. No, it was there was a guy, Nick, running it at the time, and obviously I'd tipped up. I think he'd said get there for 7:30, so I'd tipped up in a shirt and tie and shoes, and it's like I'm a mechanic, so they're all awful, typical one shirt that I own, and sat outside at 7:30, and nobody turned up till about 9:30, and you go in, it's like, oh, you here for a job interview? Yeah, I am. Yeah. Oh, he's not here yet. Come on in. I'm thinking, he said get here at 7:30. So when he rocks up and he gets in, and the first thing, so he sits down, I brought my CV, and he looks through, and he's like, you go into a room and you sit down, and there was no like, how you doing? Or he questions to sort of sit there, and he opens up my CV, and he's like, didn't say anything, and I'm sort of like, and he's like, oh, you worked at Honda as well? He's like, I did that too. I'm like, yeah. He's like, what do you think of my trainers? I'm like, they're all right. He's like, yeah, just got these. They've got the branded on and stuff. Anyway, we were out in Alpe d'Huez the other week, and we ended up getting pissed in the bar and fighting some French kids, and we do this and this and this. And he's like, no, it looks pretty good. When do you want to start? I'm like, when do you need me? He's like, I'll just come back in January. I'm like, okay. And that literally was it.
just come back in January.
Yeah,
So
just come back in January and that was it.
You know, I was hopefully going to go with this story for young listeners who want to become the next Johnny Bagnall.
bleep me out.
You know, what you have to really do is dedicate yourself. Just go compliment the right trainers and work at Honda. Really, I think that's kind of the moral of that story.
It's quite good from that perspective though, because lots of people think in any career that it is like a linear line. It's not, is it? You have to take opportunities when they come. And
I think the thing to say is don't be scared to go for it. Like I was sat there an hour in, like thinking I'm all comfortable. I've just got my little 1-bedroom sort of house I'm renting out. I've just found my feet. I'm in quite a secure dealership. It's all this and that. And do I want to go and risk it for a race team that you might be out in a year? You're only contracted every year, and it's kind of like, whoa, what do I want to do? And I think it was my granddad had said to me, he's like, you like racing, don't you? Yeah, you've always wanted to go racing. Well, why don't you go do it? And it's like, all right. It sounds like I'm easily swayed, doesn't it? I'm giving myself out as if it could be swayed into something.
You are Chasin The Racing, so it doesn't take much to be fair.
But I think on that subject, because I get it all the time, where people like from the outside, they're like, "Oh, how do you get into the position you're in?" And it's like, oh, you must have gone to university or this or that or the other. But it's like, you'd probably be the same as me. As it's like, you've had training and stuff along the way, but it's like they say you're all right, give you a go. They say you're all right. You know what I mean? And you just work your way up the ladder. You've got to start somewhere, just bit by bit. Take the opportunities as they come, and then sort of climb your way up.
So when did you can we do that bit? Sorry,
Go for it. No, go.
When did you start spannering as a full-time gig and stop riding?
So it got to a point, 2016.
I think Dean had come on board by then, hadn't he?
Yeah, 2016.
Were you doing stock, or you just got
so-
the 1,000 or something?
No, I'd had some crashes. Do you remember?
Here,
and
believe it or
then
not.
here. And it just for me, it's kind of one of them. Everybody has that bit inside them of this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. But you just sort of reach the point of realization, being like, I was fortunate enough that the owners sponsored me for a lot of years, and
at this point, this is Silicon sponsoring you.
Yeah.
All right, brilliant.
So from Supermoto onto Superstock, 600 for 2-3 years. And then there was a few bits went on at the time, but I'd gone to, where was the first? Oh, Snetterton. So I just had a small crash, really. Took the front of Snetterton. It was like one of them,
By the way, listeners, a small crash in a motorcycle's definition is a total different thing.
150 mile an hour.
It just slightly folded and just cartwheeled.
If we had a Stafford term on there as well, there's not a small crash.
Yeah. But to be fair,
we could discuss that about the photo through the gravel.
yeah, no, we could do. To be fair, at that point, it was Agostini's, the hairpin at Snetterton. The next left through there, so it's quite flowing.
So real fast, not slow.
It didn't seem fast at the time, but I took the front, and it was one of them. You go like, I've got this, and then by the point my elbow's down, I'm like, I'll just hold on to it. But as soon as I hit the grass, all I remember was looking up, being like, fuck, that's not good. Landed right next to me, got it back to the scrutineering bay. I was looking over it. It's like, it's actually not that bad. And it
That
broke.
means it's fucked if it comes from.
Yeah. So where your swing arm pivot goes through the frame, it cracked through the top of the swing arm pivot, broke a lug off the engine, forks, swing arm, the whole shoot match. So that was like number one. Anyway, got a bike built for the Thruxton the next round, had a alright-ish result. Came here and had the same crash, which I probably never told anyone the actual truth.
You told
on why
me.
I crashed. Yeah, I told Johnny.
We tell each other a lot of things.
Yeah.
What's your saying again?
Shit got SHR.
Yeah, shit goes there.
There we are. That's the pod title. Shit, guys.
But what happened was, go through Dingle Dell, Sheen, is it the next right?
Yeah.
Came through there, and I think a few laps before, I'm sure it was like Andy Reid came through, and all I seen was sparks like from his exhaust, and I was like, left me like standing still. It's like, came through, and I was just too close, and I clipped the curb. But same sort of crash, it went, and you're like, breaking the chair. It's like, I've got this,
Don't worry about
I've got this. And it flipped once, but there's a guy behind me on a Triumph just absolutely hit like clean through it, and that was worse than the first one.
Yeah.
So then that was that part, and then there was a stock 1,000 laying around.
We got told then to just like, maybe we need to, I don't think we're learning, let's have a bit of a calm down.
Yeah.
And I think the next progression that was offered to you
Yeah, it was
wasn't from me at the time.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, who offered the...
Paul was running the team, Paul Liddon.
Yeah.
Christian's dad.
Right, so he offered
yeah.
the next...
Yeah.
He's basically like, stock 6 isn't quite working as a learning step.
Yeah.
Here's the 1,000cc, do some track days and learn the bike with the progression of maybe But he sort of said it with. I think you were still spannering, weren't you? At the same time as doing all of that.
Yeah, so I'd still go to all the roads with Dean, with Johnny, and like. To be fair, back then it was pretty much just me and you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Spannering.
That's
so
quite a risky
you were
move,
already
that.
doing that at that point. Then.
Yeah, and it was like
okay.
it was quite hard because it would be crack on and do Dean's stuff was a priority, and then before a meeting I'd be like stay late one night, prep my bike, load the van up, and then meet my dad, Jeff Flatworth, like here, and then that was like the last year I think I did it that way, and.
Was that your own decision, or was that
to
actually stop like
racing?
Yeah, because all I'm hearing right now is like obviously the position you're in. It's like you're prepping Dean's bikes. That's your job.
Yeah, and
then essentially your gaffer's going, go have it. Go do stock 1,000. The axe murderer class. Well, let's say.
Yeah, which to me at the time I didn't agree with the decision, to be honest, because
you didn't agree with that.
But it was. It sounds horrible, like someone's like, there's a stock 1,000, go ride it. But to me, I'd had 2 crashes where my confidence was already knocked. Yeah. The track days I went to, it was probably this sort of time of year.
With the tissue out.
Shit, yeah.
Yeah. And I think they'd said I could do this one as a wild card on stock 1,000 at the end of the year. And it's kind of like everyone's on their A game at the end of the year. I've just got onto it, and I remember it went to a Cadwell Park track day, and it was like mist all day. So it wasn't wet, it wasn't dry. I remember riding around just being like, I've had no confidence, and this has now just knocked it even more. I'm a bit like, so I think I just sort of said,
made your own mind up by then.
Yeah, to be like, look, I don't want to go jump into a stock 1,000 race just for the end of the year. And then it sort of came out, and then it was like, actually, there's no ride for you next year, with the help, which I'm grateful for everything, so I can't knock any of it. But it's kind of the position where, when you've been helped for so long,
it's not possible, really.
Yeah, and then when it sort of stops, it's like, right, my next option, I spoke to a few teams, and it's like Super Sport rides 80, 90,000 quid for the year.
And what year was, like, the thing is, you're too young to be talking, no, there's generally no piss taking. It's like you are too young to almost be talking about, like,
I think
the timing story. Well, arguably, it's like at this point, you're too young to be talking like this. It's mad.
And I think it paper around, didn't we?
Yeah.
The Cumbrian route there.
It's the fresh water up there.
Yeah. And it was like, I spoke to another team, and they're like, oh, maybe do it for 35 plus crash damage, which you're like, okay. And then you think, I'm not going to win on the 35 grand a year than I am on the 90 grand a year. And I want to win. Like, if I'm going racing, in my head, I was like, I don't want to go to, I suppose, had it good in the team. So it's a good team. And then you're like, what you had and everything else. So it's like, I don't want to take a back step, because at the time I'm trying to find all that money myself. You get your 35 grand together, and then you go, but if I have a big crash at the first round,
you're fucked.
Then my year's done anyway. And it was just all the uncertainty. Spoke to a few things. There was a few personal sponsors, and then it came along, and then I think Paul was basically like, look, this is your options. You can take a full-time job at this wage. And it was like, gone from not having a lot of money, and then at the time when it's like, you can earn a good wage off this, it's like, you hit the fork in the road, you look at your options, you think, it's just not possible. So then, I kind of, I was like, you know what? It's that fork, and it's hard to do, but there's a certain point where you have to go, okay, not giving in, but I've got to get a career somewhere along the line, and up to that point,
Well, I think because you'd come to the team from an early age, so you'd started off doing the British Supermoto, hadn't you?
Yeah.
Along with Mal, before we went to the Worlds.
Yeah.
So it was like, I think your first experience, where did we end up? Was it Pomposa?
No, so the first one I ever did.
Pomposa? No?
In Italy. So we're alongside the...
He fucking loves Italy, this kid.
Yeah, alongside the World Championship, we're doing the Italian Championship as well. So it's like, and the two coincided. And
genuinely,
if you understand FIM and who runs it, the Italians normally do very well out of the situation. But... So we were doing that. I'd put it this way, you can win all the Italian races, but if you're non-Italian resident, you can't win the Italian Championship. That's how it works over there. But it was good. We had a good time.
And like, to put it in perspective...
Why you wear a moustache and that? Like,
yeah.
we need a guy with a strong facial hair.
But I think you were doing the British, and then you got invited out to Spanner for Mal, I think, at one of the rounds. His mechanic didn't turn up. And that's how you were first introduced to everything that was going on.
And how it happened, so basically... It's always,
you were 16 or something, were you?
Yeah, and I think it's one of them, like, everything happens for a reason, and I'm like, sort of stick by that. went to go to a British Supermoto racing. At the time, it was like my dad paying for everything, just a van, me and him, sometimes mum and my sister, doing it ourselves. And then the 1 year, me and Mal was like head to head, and it went down to the last race of the year, and it was basically, at Cadwell Park where the halfway up the start straight you can turn back.
Yeah.
So we basically just used that circuit as the Supermoto one. And I remember going into there and sort of like you do like a flick left right. I remember looking right and Mal came charging in and sort of stalled it. And then I remember coming out the right, looking back, and I was like, I've got the championship. Where you're in your head, you're like, as long as nothing goes wrong here, I've just got to keep my nose clean. And I ended up winning that year. And then I was gutted because when the team came on the scene, they were taking riders like to Europe. And then I'm like, I've won the championship, and he's going. So we was really good mates. As much as we were rivals, we were really good mates. And then we always stayed in contact, and it was like a British round. Like, our house got broken into at home, so I ended up missing a meeting.
And where was home at this point?
Holbeach, like Lincolnshire.
Rough round there.
Yeah.
Nowhere near Australia. I always thought it was Australian.
Yeah. I think it's because I spend so much time up there now that I'm pretty much...
Now that you said that, I can't unsee it.
No, I know what it is. That's why I'm like, where's home? Tell me where home is. And I'm waiting for him to go, Sydney.
Where I think it comes from is, I'm from Holbeach. Then I went and lived in Bolton with Malachi for 5-6 years. So I got a bit of that one. Then I went and lived in Cumbria with him for 2 years. So I got a bit of that one. And then because I've been here, there and everywhere, I remember pulling up to a factory one day and the guy's like, how long you been over here then? And I'm like...
it's not the first time.
No, but I was confused. And I'm like, I come up every week. And he's like, what, you fly here every week? I'm like, no, I just drive up. He's like, where are you from? And I told him, he's like, so he was Australian.
Oh, that's brilliant. Honestly, and that's like, when the show with obviously like Chrissy wanted to pair you on, this is a fair few years ago. And like Grace like, what do you know about them? I went, well, one's from Cumbria and one's Australian. Like, she goes, he's Australian. I went, I'm pretty certain Ben started he's Australian. I do not know
that once, but now you've said it, I can't.
Mate, I'm sorry. Everyone would be like,
I think we should edit this and just said the rumour he is Australian.
Yeah.
Everyone else just confirm it. Yeah.
No, but I'll tell you what, even like briefly going back, like, sorry for interrupting, it's like people, for people who knew Malachi and like knew of him before we lost him, everyone said the first thing that popped in, what a natural racer.
Yeah.
So the fact that, I'm not blowing smoke up your arse, the fact that you beat him, it says a lot about your quality. When people are like trying to put the story together, going, that's just another lad racing.
Yeah.
You could obviously pedal a motorcycle, Ben. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Aston 20.
Yeah.
14?
Yeah.
Or 15?
Yeah. 15.
Was it?
Yeah, I think it was 15. Basically, we went to do the Dutch Supersport. And I think Mal had won the Manx.
Yeah.
So
Mal was at the
basically,
Manx at the time.
we were both going to do Dutch Supersport. And then Mal was like, I've just won the Manx. I'm not asked about going. So then Paul came in and he's like, I'd have thought, do you want to enter Supersport Evo while we're here? Because you'll double up your track time. So it's like, all right, can do. Yeah, that'll do it. And it was literally in the awning.
We were on the stockers, weren't we? Because obviously Dutch Evo, I think, was stock rules anyway. You were racing stock 6.
Yeah, so it was like British Supersport Evo.
Yeah.
Which was it like Kit Electronics?
Where you could run kit ECU and loom.
A shifter.
Standard. It was before they changed the rules in Supersport to like gudge and pin up over you could touch, but you couldn't touch anything down.
Yeah.
Standard gearbox and stuff like that.
And then literally I rolled out FP1, I think it was. And then I was tops Evo, Supersport Evo. And then I think I was like 5th or 6th in Supersport.
Yeah.
Just like out the blue. And bearing in mind, I've been, what would I be, stock 6? Top 12?
Roughly,
top 15 maybe?
Let's say nothing special.
Yeah, nothing special. But then I just rocked up at Aston.
Be brutal about it, yeah.
And I was like,
wears the white shirt.
Yeah. But then I rocked up and I'm like, I remember coming back and everyone's like, that was well good. And I'm like, where was it? And then I think they said like, 6th or 7th overall. I'm like, in Evo? And they're like, no, in the whole class. It's like, you topped Evo. And I think it might not have been every session, but I won the Evo.
Quite a few of them, yeah. I think you definitely won 2 races.
Yeah, I crashed out of the last one.
And Adrian Gorst, he's like, because obviously it's in Superstock Technical, and he was like head honcho somewhere at the time. Who was he? Was he doing Ross Twyman's bike?
He's running David Allingham.
That was who it was, yeah. And he's coming in, he's going,
David Bomb.
David
David
Bomb.
Bomb. No, it's David Bomb.
Oh.
It's that D Bomb. There's only one.
There's
Dom
only one.
the Bomb.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Copyright in here.
Wait a minute. Mine rhymes. Dom the Bomb.
Yeah,
David Bomb. Doesn't work, mate. If
No.
you're listening, it doesn't work.
But yeah, he come in, he's like giving us a sauce. So what you done to her? It's like, oh, nothing. It's just we've brought it from stock 6. He's like, you've put some cams in her. It's like, nah. It's just it's completely standard. He's like, you have. It's like, no.
Yeah, it was literally
Yeah.
Johnny had built the motor, but stock. Yeah, I think it's because it was the
stock cams. The rods on the other hand.
I did a
Total
full season on a
difference.
Kawasaki that year, finished third in the championship,
Yeah.
and it was basically a stocker with a fucking quick shifter on it.
yeah.
Where have
Didn't even
those
have
days
any
gone?
Didn't even have any date.
Where have the
limit on
those days done? You can turn it with a bike like that and
I know,
do that
yeah.
well.
it. Yeah.
So yeah, and then I remember I've got a picture of it the other day, just flicking through memories, and it was like it's just a picture of me and him in the truck because we used to pretty much just go everywhere
Yeah.
together.
It was
Like,
the two of us load up,
Northwest,
prep the bikes,
TC.
drive the truck, whether it be roads, Ben's Racing Affair. And the truck was, what was it, that 18 tonner?
Yeah.
Was that trip we called into Amsterdam and I
Yeah.
got bit by that dog?
Yeah. So
That sounds like an episode in itself.
driving into Amsterdam, Johnny's like, "Have you ever been into Amsterdam?" It's like, "No," and he's like, "On the way." So we got off the ferry, and it's like on the way in an 18 tonner, and he's like, "Do you want to go?" It's like, "Yeah, all right." So driving along, and it just puts it in the sat nav like centre.
Centre of Amsterdam, I thought, we'll take a risky. I'm like, we'll get close and we'll walk the rest of the way, thinking like, because you know how tight the streets are when you get in.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I've been before, I don't want to get right to the centre. So we're driving along anyway, truck's fully loaded, get somewhere, it's like, I think we're about walkable, pulls down a street and there's just like random parking, just like along the side of a street.
But you know,
Pay
they
your
like,
money.
you park on a curb.
Yeah, like that sort of job. Pay your money. It's like, how long do you want to be for? 24 hours? Because we stayed over in the truck, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah.
Slept in it because it had a bit of living in the front. So I was like, right, let's walk in. So I'm like, Googled it in my phone, like, something like 15, 20-minute walk. So let's get a march on. We'll get down in there, show Ben Amsterdam. Wandered along this thing. And I can't remember what dog it was, but we were walking
The
along
one
and
with
it
the
was
pointy ears.
yeah,
Like
black
a.
one.
Oh, yeah,
Like a big guard dog.
Most generic dogs, man.
No, 'cause I seen it in my head then, and I didn't realise you can't see it. What's the one? It's
the one that's like a colour of a Doberman but more thinner and
Oh, is it?
sharper?
I'm sure it was a
Nah,
Doberman.
German
Doberman's
Shepherd.
No, that is a Doberman.
Yeah.
You're thinking Rottweiler. Like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
the
It is a
Doberman
Doberman.
is the-
Yeah. So it is a
the Snoop
Doberman.
dog.
And yeah,
Snoop
just
Dogg's
yeah.
dog.
And-
One of-
yeah.
It was literally just walking along, and all of a sudden this woman, it was just like, wham! And I'm like, "Has that dog bit me?" And she sort of spouted out this, and I'm like, "I don't know what you're saying."
But it happened that quick. We're just walking. It was like, rah. And then he just looked up at me, lifted his arms, like, "Did that dog just bite me?" And then you look up, it's just a load of like slobber.
Yeah. Few little teeth marks, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now
And we'll end that story there, because,
we're not because all the listeners
I
go
just
right.
can't
Lads,
believe
we
he's
don't
went
give a
out on
shit
the-
about the dog.
He's went out on the
Where
piss
did
the
you
night
go in
before,
So
Amsterdam?
we went to Amsterdam, we had a look round, seen the tourist sites, left.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds
No, we didn't.
legit.
We had a beer or two and then left.
And then
We
the
did
beer,
end up- we
the
went
beer
back to the
went.
truck, yeah.
Any
Is that on the way to the meeting?
cakes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
But then-
no wonder he was
And then he
fucking
won.
quick.
Oh no, it popped into my head when he was on about Malachi and like natural talent. So it was European Supermoto Championship, and like it's,
Yeah, I remember.
it would be like going into World Supersport, kind of, if you want to put it on the same scale. And you know how the level is just there. So I remember my dad would come with me as my mechanic. We flew into somewhere and we like had our team evening meal, and then it was like, "Are we going?" A few was like, "Oh, we're going to have some drinks," and Mal was like, "Yeah, I'll go one day." And he went out and just got absolutely bladdered. And I remember in the morning, so I'm like gone to bed, fresh as a daisy, gets up, and I'm like, he's not there. We had to knock him up, got him into the car, drove to the track, and he literally grabbed me. He's like, 10 minutes before my session, come and knock on the car, get me. So like, I'm like, all right, here we go. So I'm in there, polishing my helmet, boots, getting everything lined up, and I'm like, all right, I'm so organised. Right, knocks on the door. He comes, his kit's still dirty, he puts his boots on, leathers on. Literally, he was pole, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Like pole, comes back, and then he went and got back in the car, and he's like, "Can you do the same for the next one?" And then just went back to sleep. And I'm like, as a natural talent, like,
It's actually annoying, isn't it?
yeah.
It is. Like no one.
And then that weekend he went on to win both races.
So that was it Croatia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was Czech Republic.
That was it, yeah.
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 And then I remember, I'm sure he earned a load of money in or not a load of money, but he earned a lot of money in bonuses. And he hadn't even obviously got the money yet from his bonuses. Went into went into a Louis Vuitton shop.
Got the sunglasses, didn't he? That
Yeah.
he wore everywhere, yeah.
Yeah. So if you see a picture of him like Louis Vuitton sunglasses,
That was
that's
from that
where they
win.
come from.
Yeah.
So, but he was straight up. He's like, "Nah, got my money, spent it. There you go." And I was like, "Fair play to you."
Mm.
But yeah, as a natural talent, he was.
Like I say, SHR days.
I like it. So what why did a couple of Supermoto riders want to become road racers?
So
Like short circuits, and then you obviously went into roads on that side of things.
So basically, it was because they were looking after Russ on the road racing side of things. The hearts are with the road racing at the time.
I mean from Supermoto to short circuits.
So the idea was, obviously, Russ was already competing at the TT. We were helping in the background. It was the transition for the team, change from SHR to Silicon Engineering Racing. It was at the time. It was sort of lose the SHR image. Let's become a bit more professional. This, that, the other, a bit more corporate. They were sort of always had a heart for the TT, but then also wanted to bring young talent on, just like they obviously brought Ben up through the Supermoto ranks. Wanted to do a similar thing here. So it was like, who else do you give an option than the two young riders that you've currently got? So Russ was, let's say, the head of the team, already there competing, and it was like, you don't suddenly start road racing on your first time on a 600, learn your craft for the first few years on short circuits, make your mistakes there with the intention of eventually turning your hand at road racing. That was the initial plan back then. And like I said, Paul was head of it then, and he was made some pretty sensible choices and decisions and knew what he was doing with it, to be fair.
Yeah. But like, quickly going back, I'm just thinking, how does a Supermoto rider get in the shot? Like, was it literally just because, I keep getting not Silicon, I keep saying Silicon. What was before Silicon?
SHR.
SHR. So was it literally because of SHR wanting to get in the short circuit racing, you and Malachi just went, we'll just go with this crowd?
Yeah.
Was it literally that decision?
Yeah, basically, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. And it was one of them, there was an R6 knocking around at the time. Yeah. So then we both went and just did a few track days on it and was like, oh yeah, I remember getting my knee down for the first time. It's like, it's pretty cool. And then it just sort of went, I think it's like anything. If you have a go on one, you go, it's quite good, so I want to have another go. Yeah. And then it just stemmed from there. And then we did, Mal already had a national licence somehow, a road race one. But then
were you two the same age? He was a little bit younger, or?
I think he was a little bit older. It was the same age, but like a little bit in it, yeah.
Because sorry, I'm jumping the gun, but when did we lose Malachi? What year?
2016.
Yeah.
60. Holy shit.
Yeah.
We lost Malachi at the road Northwest. Jesus, wept. That's mental.
Yeah.
But you know when you like.
Yeah.
I know it sounds horrible.
When you look back at that, it's 9 years ago.
But they are. But you think, you know, when I picture Malachi, and now.
Wasn't bad for you guys at the time, was he?
No.
And he moved on.
And that was part of. I wouldn't want to go too far into it, but Malachi, as talented as he was strong-headed and driven and wanted things as quick as possible. Now, obviously, when I mentioned about the progression, and you don't just jump into road racing, it's not a toy. You don't play at it. And I think the split from the team was a bit. I'm not going to say the decision was to hold him back. It was just to keep him learning, whereas he wanted to be there as soon as possible. And that's where sort of negotiations with him broke down, and he obviously got a ride with a full superbike and everything else.
Yeah.
But you kind of you can get reasons why and stuff, because on the roads, laps are key. So if someone can give you that many bikes, I can see why. Yeah, why it went that way and everything.
So, like, you've gone from short circuits. You're talking about the car stories, and now were they that waking him up? That was Supermoto, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was Supermoto.
So when you two went into the short circuit scene, you know, we're talking about how you both got so quickly up there. You're right top 10 and more comfortably.
Yeah.
So what? Sorry.
No.
Go for it. Go.
No, it was one of them really where I didn't have a national license to be able to come and do BSB straight away.
Right.
So we did the hot tracks. It was then like a no limits endurance.
That,
and I think popular, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, it's because you get 3 signatures in a weekend rather than 2 for just doing like the normal thing.
Screw the system as quick as we can.
Yeah. So
there we are.
We basically did that. It was good fun, really.
It was, because you got a lot of track time and the endurance racing.
So I did that, and then that was my first year of road racing, short circuit racing. And then it was the next year where it was like big effort, both in Superstock.
Yeah.
Basically.
So Malachi at this point was already a year ahead.
Yeah.
Now, what's it? Because Malachi at the Manx that year, that was his. Now, am I right in saying that was his newcomer year? What he won?
Do you know, was it his second?
Because he won the junior.
Second.
Yeah.
Because
did he not break down the first year?
Yeah.
Towards when he was winning it, and he broke down at the Craig.
Yeah, because didn't we meet him there?
I can't remember. Or did he? I don't know. I think that could have been his first year, you know.
Yeah, it could have been.
I remember he joined the Tommy Club, and I think in one race, I think the first race, now don't get me wrong, I can't remember which is, one's a senior and one's, what's the name of the other?
Well, the Manx Grand Prix had the junior and the senior, so the senior could run up the 750,
so
the junior was 600.
He broke down in the junior, so basically he was leading the race, and he basically got some splashed with water, and he stopped to check what the water was, couldn't find anything, set off and finished second, and I think, was that to Billy?
Yeah.
This is the thing, because him and Billy Redmayne, it was just...
Yeah,
you know when Titans come along at the same time, and the thing is, your competition makes you stronger. And that year, with Malachi on the Silicon ZX6, and you had, it was a local Isle of Man. I'm looking at Haley being the Isle of Man local, but it was Black. Oh, who was Billy Redmayne riding for at that point? Martin Bullock Racing.
Was it?
Thank you very much. There you go. And it was just Honda versus Kawasaki, and it was just like. The Tommy Club, there was just absolutely smashing in 120 mile an hour, and you just thought,
what's the Tommy Club?
So it's the
first 120 mile an hour lap. You get 100 at the
at the Manx Grand Prix.
Yes.
So it doesn't count at the TT. So you have to be a Manx Grand Prix rider to get into the Tommy Club.
Right. Okay.
So I think there's only a handful really in it. You know, they haven't breached 22s.
I couldn't tell you on that, but
I don't. Oh, there'll be some hardcore. What did you say? Let's do 22, but like 21s, 20.
Did you do that, or you went earlier, didn't you?
I did my first year at the Manx, and then on a Super Twin, and then went to the TD after that. But it was but like that year of like the silicon element, and it was so briefly going back. Was that your first time in roads? What was Silicon Engineering's first time in
2014.
Pure roads?
Yeah. 2014 with Russ. So we had a Triumph 675, a ZX10 Stocker, and a Fireblade Superbike.
So you went...
that's how we tipped up Northwest. Northwest tipped up, never been.
Even better, we went to a track day at Alton Park.
Yeah.
It was booked in on the dyno that night.
Yeah.
And Russ has gone out on track. And I just remember
typical track day morning, was stood out at the garage, Paul's there as well, whistling as he was.
And we're sort of like leant up the wall on our phones, like looking at timing, and it was like, rum. And Johnny's like, that was Russ. And it was like, everyone's like, what?
Paul's like, no, it's fucking not. I'm like, I'm telling you, that was him.
And then that was like a couple of days before going to the Northwest, wasn't it?
Yeah, written the bike off.
So then it was
he crashed it?
Crashed it. And we were all a bit like, still a bit green as grass to it, all like roads and everything else. So like I did a few late nights rebuilding everything, got it to I've got a picture of it on the dyno somewhere with no fairings, back end.
Yeah, you know, like scoop ball
was already booked off. In.
It's like we just need to go on the dyno with it.
Frank Raffles got it up there, and then sort of rebuilt it to like, what do we need? And obviously we were starting out, so we didn't have a mass of spares. It's kind of like cobbled together something. Got it a bit.
Like Paget a lot, didn't we?
And then that was our first year experience, so you'll know about this. Got to the Northwest, it's like, oh, fucking hell, we've got all that work, we've built it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think Russ, did he say he'd not been there for a while? But anyway, he for some reason did the newcomer lap. What happens if you set off at the back of that? What does your bike get shot with?
Stones.
Oh, it's like...
So it's like, they're probably the only fairing we had, and it come back, and it's absolutely destroyed, and it's like, oh.
But the bike and everything, because to us, it's like, looking back, it probably wasn't that high a spec of superbike, but to us, it's a superbike, and you're like, oh my God, it's got
this
nice
is your pride and joy, yeah.
And it come back, and it's just like,
what's happened here? He's like, oh yeah, I think I needed that. Fucking hell, it's like, yeah.
But you're not even full pace. It's like just a behind the marshals, find your way kind of thing.
How old were you at this point, roughly?
2014. I've been 23, I think.
So, and you're running a team, you know,
working on it that time. I wasn't running it.
No,
so,
but even so, you know,
I was pretty much crew chief in it at that time. Yeah.
There we are. But you're running a team at this point, and it's like from the outside looking in, you know, people fresh through the gates at the TT, BSB, and everything just see tits and glamour.
Yeah.
Don't they? You know what I mean? This has been round since the pyramids. That's how people perceive teams, and it's just, you know what? It's actually bloody lush listening here, going, you two,
the raw end of it.
Two kids who've just got off a bus in Amsterdam, holding up a ZX10, going, "Go on, Frank, rev it." No, but obviously he's crashed it. He's gone to the Northwest. So was that your first taste?
First taste.
Your first taste.
Believe it or not, that year we were squashed in with our 3 bikes, and you know what the tent's like. We're nobodies. We've just tipped up on the scene, and we were sharing a tent with Phil Crow and his 3 bikes. In them little white tents, there were 6 bikes crammed into that. And you're looking across the road at like Michael and Guy Martin with 2 tents each, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, it's like the 3 bikes.
Yeah. You're thinking like, right.
We'll never be like that, Ben.
Yeah.
We'll share. Next year, they've got Silicon Dow Racing Row.
Took over.
We need all this space.
But it is one of them, because when you look back, obviously, the last time we did it, you go, and the Northwest is a rush. Like, you know, when you've like next race, and you've got this there and everything, and it's like we did it, and then you look back and it's like, how did you do it?
How did you manage that? How on earth the hours that like when we've got now, and it's like I would like to say that it's not saying how good I am, but how well organised and what we've got and the experience we've got and what it takes to do what we do now. Bear in mind, we're not going to the roads anymore. When we look back thinking, how did we do? It was just me and him on next to nothing with like no hours sleep and manage all of that. It's like we couldn't do it. I don't know how we did it.
Yeah. But then it's also quite, I think people miss because they look at now, like you say, this big shiny thing.
The glam.
And it's always like, oh yeah, got an easy ride, got an easy ride.
Right.
But it's like, we've
come from doing it properly, or, you know, right from the bottom up.
What did you think going to the Northwest for the first time? Like, what is mechanics?
Mind blowing. I mean, it's mechanics. It's interesting. It's a lot of work, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the nightlife helped there.
Yeah, it definitely did.
No, but
no comment.
Okay, at 23, 24, you know, life's full of comments. Everything's great. How nervous were you? It's mechanics.
Shitting a brick, yeah.
Because you've just watched, you know, road racing is a different kettle. You know, at 23, 24, you've just built a bike that you've just pulled off a dyno.
Yeah, yeah.
On a scale of 1 to shit yourself, where were you?
To be honest, I've never, and it sounds arrogant, but in my career, I've never been like that. And it was the way I was brought up of how to build a bike. Where I'm, and it's maybe end of an era, and I know it sounds like I'm older than I am, but it was never paperwork and following instructions. It's hands-on. You learn it. If you're going to do that, bolt it on and check it again while you're there. So now you don't have to think, have I checked it? Because every time you do it, you never just bolt it on and think, I'll go around after. You bolt it on, check it again, and you know that's done. You don't let anybody, can I borrow you? No. Be as blunt as that. You're not here to make friends. It's a case of like, you're here to do a job. So you finish what you're doing, then you can speak to someone. And it's with having that mentality, for me, it was never a case of, have I done it right? It was more, am I in the right place? Where are we going next? What's the next lot of set of work plans I've got to go to when it comes back? We've got to get this bike from here to there, and you know, it's like they're wheeling bikes up and down the hill and moving them about. That was more of a stress than is the bike going to fall apart. That part's the easy part if you're competent.
Because logistically, and then you get weather that's different. So now you need like all your wheels down there for all 3 different manufacturers, and it's like all of a sudden it just becomes, you do a lot of running.
But as a rider watching that, how did you process that, Ben? Like, did you think, God, I want to have a go at this? Or did you just think, oh, fucking hell?
I don't know. To start with, I'm like, it wasn't for, obviously at that time, it wasn't for me. And
what? Go on then. 23.
Was that time I took you over the mountain in the SHR van? In 2014. I tell you what, we went to watch Russ. No, our first taste, believe it or not, was us when we went to watch him at the Southern, And I think the first night we got there, someone was killed. Just off the start. And it was like, that was our first introduction to road racing. He's like, we've literally just got off the ferry, we've just driven to the thing,
and you're all
we've had a bit of a lap around the circuit. We're all fairly young at this time.
Yeah.
You know, what will I be? 23, you'll have been sort of 3. And you sort of get there and it's like, oh, right, we're ready to see this. And it's like, red flag, and that's the night done. You're like, oh, all right.
And then you take in the environment of the paddock.
And then you can, you know exactly what it's like. You can't describe the atmosphere when something like that's going on. It's just it's somber. It's dead. It's like,
it's just sucked out.
So
you know the feeling, and it's like, welcome to road racing. It's like,
yeah. But it's one of them. The bit for me with the roads was, and I feel like my opinions changed as I've got older. So then I was just like, no, and it was more, I couldn't put my mum and dad through it. That was the bit pressing on it. But then there's times like at the TT where, like when you push Dean off and it's cracking the flags, you know, it's like absolutely brilliant. Like we've said it.
Yeah.
Imagine if someone says to you now, that road's closed, there's no stress on you, just go and ride around. You'd be like, yep, 100%. So as I'm getting older, it's like, the understanding of it for me is like, I get that. I
get why people do it.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, did it massively change for you when you lost Malachi?
It was. Don't worry, it was certainly upsetting. It's like you've lost one of your best mates, you know.
Yeah, of course.
You know, someone who you've grown up with, and it's like not necessarily grown up from a young age, but you've had all them years and all that stuff you got up to in between. And
I think it's more so because you probably grow up a lot more in that age bracket than you do when you're
3 or something. You know, when you're 16 to 19, you're like doing, you know, you interact more. And it, as far as it changed, I mean, I've always looked at it fairly bluntly. It's just a job, so I'm there to do a job. There's time for emotion after, but I think if you let too much emotion come into it, you're in the wrong game.
Yeah.
If I'm honest,
Yeah.
it might sound brutal, but you start worrying about stuff like that. You can't let mistakes creep in. Don't be wrong. There was a time to be sad and a time it affected us all. But it was, as far as did it change perspective? No, because everybody who goes knows what happens. Yeah. You know the risk, the danger element, and it's not something you wish upon anyone. But I don't want to say you accept it, but you're just aware of it going on. If you go there with a naivety like nothing's ever going to happen, and let it get to you, I think it's not for you.
Yeah.
Because, when you're trying to, like, speaking specifically about road racing, you always, when you're trying to bring people into your world, we're very enthusiastic about it, what I mean? This is our lifestyle, you know what I mean? You're like, how can you not come enjoy this? And then a lot of people, majority of people, to be honest, just go, look at, what happens if something happens? And then you actually go, well, you really don't get it.
No.
But what I find interesting is people are almost scared to get close to someone.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you were friends with Malachi, and I know I keep saying this, but it's like, with Malachi, when you lost Malachi, when Dean came along after that, was that a different attitude? Was that a different, mentality? Was it, to be blunt, the question I'm getting at is, were you scared to get close to Dean at that point? Because Dean was just a fast lad from Bradford at this point.
Yeah.
And, you wanted to continue the team.
I probably struggled more with that. So when the racing and everything finished for me, I actually left the team for 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, you left for Lee Hardy, didn't you?
Yeah. And then when I came back, that affected me more coming back because of like what you'd done and then coming back to it. That affected me more. But it's, as a mechanic, it works in your favour because you're just like, my A game is on point. Like, I cannot make any mistakes. I will not make any mistakes. I think it sharpens you up.
I don't think you intentionally put up a barrier. I think if someone new like Dean or anyone comes into the team, but you can't help but get attached because this is lifestyle. This isn't I keep referring to it's a job. It's this. It's you live this. You're aware however many times of the year you spend more time with the people here than you do with your own family. It's kind of like you're there in each other's pockets. You sleep in the same truck, a bed across from there. Yeah. It's like you know everything about each other. You can't not get close. No. And I think if you were to intentionally put up a barrier, it'd just be awkward. So,
it would be, wouldn't it?
I don't think it would work if you weren't.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you just wouldn't.
You need to know what makes him tick, what doesn't. No. You need to see him walk in the garage. And I already know, with Dean, I could see him after the 5-6 years there. Whenever he walked in the garage, I know what result we're going to have today. I know how it's going to be. You learn that, when you're with someone, you're working that closely with them. So I wouldn't intentionally put up any barriers. I don't think obviously losing Mal affected us, but it wasn't right. This is what I need to in place now to stop that happening again.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. No, it's. I feel like I was pushing on that. It's just, for people listening, going, what makes people like yourself tick? You know what I mean? The position you're in. At the end of the day, you're getting expensive machinery.
Yeah.
From a private sponsor and team owner, going, lads, you're the bridge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You've got to keep the marshmallow fast and you've got to keep the wallet open.
I think what makes me tick, so I always said this, like when I stopped riding, you don't get that buzz, but there's nothing like, so even on a level of this, to be fair, there's like, if you go and work 2 weeks at the TT and then go to Knockhill and you stand on the grid, you're like, may as well have a sun lounger. Like it's just like,
chill.
There's no stress. Like you don't feel the pressure. Whereas like now, you go to the grid tomorrow, you're like, you still get it, but once you've done your 2 weeks there and then come here, it's just like so laid back. It's like, okay, but the bit that makes me tick is like we had the year with Dean where we went to Dunlop and then back to Metzler for the senior, and we'd changed on the
the bet
so we
that was the year Dunlops were deciding to explode.
So the night before the race, I think it was, it's like, right, we're going back.
Oh, that was a fucking awesome interview. That continue.
And no, for me, I had offset change, head cup change. So I've had like the whole front end of the bike. We always do like before the senior, because it's a cassette box, we'll always have the gearbox out and just give the gearbox a once over. Swing arm pivot change. What else was there?
There's a multiple things. We don't need to give all our secrets away.
No, but there was I'm just trying to get you a picture of how in depth. So the bike
sounds like a new build.
Yeah,
like
basically.
And to top it all off, like we love the fans. So Dean's Dean's mega. Dean had just come in at like 11 o'clock while he's still working. Be like, what are you on
a cup
with?
of tea.
Yeah, do you want a cup of tea? And he'll remember the story clear as day. A load of people come walking by, like, obviously had a few beers. And it's like, it's only the other time where I've got grumpy at maybe a fan because they're knocking on the door and they're like, Dean. So Dean opens the door. He's like, oh, come in, lads. You all right? Can I get a picture? And I've got everything. So we got the work trays where, like, everything's in its own sections. And one of the blokes slips, stands on the edge of the tool, on the nut and bolt tray. But, like, it slungshot it across the awning. And then I just, like, seen red then. I'm like, right, everybody out. Just get, you know, you just, like, zip it up, turn the shutters down, leave me alone. But next day...
Like, to be blunt, rightly so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But then that next day, that was before you did the warm-up laps.
Yeah, so straight out.
So basically...
When men, you see,
Yeah.
Josh, you know what I mean? You just go, smoke a Benson, off you go.
But you've done that, and then you do your push-off, and then it's like... Brr, 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 and you just hear it keep going, you're like... That's it now then. You know, and you
done my bit.
Yeah, you can't do anything about it. It's gone. But you know, deep down, you're like, it's right. But it's just that's the bit for me that ticks. Once it's done 6 laps, you've done 2 wheel changes, and you've had a good result. You're like,
That was an outstanding result because as far as my memory concerned is you won the senior that race.
No, the 19 was our senior win.
Yeah, that
I
was
think we were
second.
again second.
That's the interview that popped in my head because obviously it was so Dean, you've just won the Dunlop senior, and he goes, yeah, and I've done it on Metzler's.
Yeah,
Did he?
typical Dean.
The first thing he said, it was just typical Dean Harrison.
Yeah.
It was just like, and I did it on Metzler's.
Yeah.
Oh, class! But as far as I'm aware, you've won more than one senior than they are. I'm just going to keep rolling on that side of things.
But no, I think that's the buzz side, isn't it? When shit's hit the fan, so to speak, and you can correct what's happened, get out and get a good result. That's as much as winning a race as a.
I think for us, we took great pride as well in like, especially the past few TTs of like breakdowns.
Yeah,
like next to nil.
Not had any.
No, I think we went through one with 0 stops whatsoever, like at all.
Yeah.
Maybe even a few. I couldn't say on record, but it was like it's something we take great pride in. Is like is finishing every session because so it's a test of man and machine. And as a team, if you can put that together, we can't ride the thing. We can set up, we can help, but we take great pride as a team and being like, we've kept that thing going throughout everything, all practice, all races, everything.
Because how long have you been on Kawasaki's then? So from Russ Mountford.
So obviously, 10 years. 10 years. So it was 2014 when we switched and bought them bikes off Chris Walker. And we had obviously Kawasaki support then in the background, so that was our first year. And then he still has ZX10 in them years, and then officially we sort of transferred everything over in 2016 when Dean came. Yeah. But we've had Kawasaki since 2014.
And that, while we're on the subject, so we hadn't had any podiums or anything before there. Dean comes along, and he's a good character to have around. So, and he'd come to the workshop a lot. So me and Johnny's just built some bikes. 3, I think we built.
Yeah.
Rocked up did the Northwest. That was all right, I think.
I think we ended up having maybe a podium.
Yeah. And then went to the TT and got 5 podiums. Yeah. In like the first proper year.
With him, yeah.
With him. And it was just like as a thing, it was just like grafting. It paid off.
Yeah.
The
that
results
makes it worth it.
Everyone's in a good mood. That for me as a year, that was like...
Because you go there with nobody expecting anything from you. Yeah. You're just another nobody, another team, another name, and it's like, pow, we're here.
Yeah.
What happened after that then? You know that expectation. From yourself. From yourself, because you've just gone there. You could definitely like 5 podiums, and you've gone on the boat home, which is a long shit boat for people who haven't done it, 4 hours, and you've just gone. How the fuck we're gonna do that again? That must run through your mind.
Well, it does, but I think that just adds that little bit more pressure, and not necessarily from anyone else. That self-pressure of like, we want to do that again. We want that feeling.
Yeah.
And I think we did. We kept achieving. We kept going that bit quicker. I think was it 2017 we got there, and I think we'd done that 133 mile an hour lap in practice, and everyone's like, wow.
Yeah.
That's come on.
And between all this, you were doing Ulster Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Oliver's Mounts.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did a lot of them, didn't you?
Southern Hut, Jesus, they got to a point where no one wanted to see your name on a timesheet. You know what I mean? At the Southern 100, and Dean Harrison has turned up on the ZX10. It got to a point when the cameraman had to come up with clever angles to make the show work. You know what I mean? Let's put the camera upside down. What the fuck am I watching here?
Was it? So we won that 3 years in a row, but believe it or not, 1 year we'd went with we were just using the stocker on the kit electronics, weren't we? And we had a problem with an ECU. we missed most of practice because there's like when I say most of practice, not like a BSB and you get 40 minutes, you get 12.3 seconds.
Yeah.
In first practice, yeah, basically, and then so we'd missed the second. We had to start. Did we start from the back of the grid, miss the next race? And I think for the main race, we ended up winning it. We'd figured out it was an earthing problem, something to do with the kit loom. We somehow figured it out by the weekend. That was like a good one to get because it's like we've had shit thrown at us all week. And finally, in the main race where it all happens, you tipped up with the goods. Yeah,
I love it. You see, thing is, right, you know, if we got talking about... See, I don't know enough about BSB. That's his job. And this is Josh's job on the side. But I find it hard in like over 200 and odd episodes to replicate these stories in the short circuits.
Yeah.
You know what I'm getting at?
Well, they do exist, but it's a different type of...
I'm biased, I love
yeah,
roads,
but
you know
it's just
what I
a
mean?
different...
But
we said that from an SHR days though, and they're going abroad. Like I've got some stories that you'd say to someone, they'd be like, "He's full of shit."
Yeah.
There's no way. But when you speak to like the likes of
we
you,
need one of them. Come
people
on.
who's been in racing, they're like, it's believable because it's like we've been in similar situations. So here's one for you. Back in was it Pomposa
Circus.
with this? Yeah, with the circus. We were in. We were in
Back in Italy again.
I wasn't,
We're in Italy.
I wasn't there.
We're in Italy and we're in the club, let's say. We'll
Yeah.
call it the club. And there was Will who was spannering. Will was a biggish lad at the time, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Was spannering. Was he for Mal?
Yeah.
But anyway, we were there with Matt Winstanley. Obviously, brilliant supermoto rider. He was riding for the team as well. And I think this was part of the race weekend as well. This wasn't even when it was finished. Will had convinced the barmaid that he was winning the World Supermoto Championship, got to sign a chest. Bear in mind, Mino's about 8 stone, Will's probably 20. So he's convinced this.
Yeah.
Wink got talking to these two, I was going to say Chechen or Russian or something like that. Albania,
Something
maybe.
dangerous.
I think along those lines. And they're like, oh, by the way, we've got a circus. We're here in town. This is why we're in the bar. Oh, I'm a bike racer. Come and have a look. So we heads in. So we've left the nightclub 2:00 in the morning. We've been taken to this circus in the middle of town that's all like barricaded round. We're in the back door. We're suddenly in a tent looking at like a zebra, a bit of a camel, a horse. Oh, would you want to go?
Bit of a camel.
Yeah. Do you want, oh, it's this like next
What
thing.
bit of the camel?
So he's like, oh, do you want to go see the hippo? And it's like, a hippo? You're like, yeah. So we wander over, and I'm not joking, there's a fence, and it must be a foot off the floor. Don't touch the fence, it's electric. It's like, obviously, must be very high voltage. So you drops over this fence into the back of a truck. So imagine a big Arctic, and half of it's open, right? So we goes up in the trailer, and there's a hippo sat in a pool. Just like with its eyes there, and it's like we're all sat there. Do you want to get a picture? And obviously the people who run the circus are laughing and obviously pissed. We're a bit like, bloody hell, there's a hippo there. I think someone anyway took a picture and the flash went off, and all the hippo did, it went. Meh. Well, obviously at that point everyone ran. It was, but it's like where else could you tell a story like that? And everyone would be like, nah, it never happened. It's like
I fully believe
I
it.
don't know why
it went
yeah.
on like
I
that.
just love how your first reaction when they're like, don't touch the fence, it's electric.
Yeah.
You went, oh no, we'll just leave it then. No, fuck it, let's get in.
Yeah, it's just random stories like that. I could go on and on, but I think it's that roads is quite like that. The stuff you could come out with that goes on. I think it's part of growing up in racing. It's
class,
good crack.
man.
It's what makes podcasts like this tick.
You're far from wrong. But
Have you missed going to the TT?
Yeah.
This year?
Yeah.
So everyone's asked me, and of course, like road racing always holds a special place. There's elements I miss. There's obviously others I don't. I know what it takes to, and I think it's because as a team we've always tried to do both.
Yeah.
And my opinion is I don't think you can do both successfully. I know what it's taken to do it at the level we've had, and we've been fairly successful in one, maybe not the other. I don't really see many people doing both and winning both at all, at the level that's needed to be at. And I think I know what the work that it took to get us to where we were. It nearly killed us. It's so hard to do both at a sustained level.
Superbike.
Yeah, at Superbike. And it's that bang thing. You see the podium and you're like, I think you'd message me when it was obviously going off and you see the podium and everyone's cheering, it's happy. It's like, yeah, this is great. We do miss that. And you do miss them seeing off Braille. And it's like, yeah, but now you can turn off your telly and put your feet up. Now, if we were there, we'd have
Pack it all down.
the strip down of the engines, the this, the that, the other in scrutineering. Then you've got to rebuild it for the next thing. And then on top of that, you've got another 2 nights of that, plus practices, plus this. It's all the background work, what you said. Tits and sunglasses that everyone comes to glam. They see all of that side. It's like, but I know what goes in the background to make that work.
Yeah.
And that's the bit that I almost think like, yeah, I'm sort of don't mind not doing that bit at the minute.
And that year, to back up it's hard to do both. Last year, was it last year? Yeah. Yeah, we did the roads last
Yeah.
year. Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah.
Did we do the roads
Yeah.
last year?
2023. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
God, Ben and I.
so we never wanted to give Dean's Superbike at BSB to be his roads bike because Alton Park, Dean can't put 100% in at a short circuit going, I've got to race this around the Isle of Man next week.
The Russ Mountford incident
Yeah.
put present to that. You get into knowing what it takes to rebuild it overnight. So you've got to have 2 separate superbikes.
But as
And
well
also
as
you've got to have a
that,
spare
a stocker, which the spares don't cross over.
and a
So
super
then-
sport, and they don't cross over.
And then all of a sudden you're going, right, okay, so you want to do everything the best you can do, but then you go to the Spanish testing, you take both superbikes because you want to ride both to go, there's no misfires, everything's working right. But then you do the first round of BSB, you come back, you're still trying to do bits to the roads bike just to give it a bit of mileage and make sure it's okay. But then that unfolds where we had a quiet day at the Northwest, and it's like we'd come straight from Alton, I want to say, but brought the BSB bike with us, and it's like while you're there, it's like, we're doing enough today, let's prep the BSB bike. So then you do that,
And it's
no day off.
constantly like,
And I think like, where it got to the worst was like for the Southern.
yeah.
So, and like for me, you're still at a race trying to do the race you're at, but the Southern, it was Snetterton race weekend and the Southern practices on the Monday. So then, like, I ended up,
Sent you overnight in a van.
yeah, but like while the last race is going on or before the last race, you're going, well, that bike's with us in the van. I need to have the suspension crate. I need to take the toolbox, and then I need a few sets of warmers. I'll take a bit of that flooring, but then you're like, the race is still on. And then you literally like finish, right, it was pretty much chuck me in a van. I drove up with Dean to the ferry, got over. Then I was winging it on my own for one night of practice.
Because Dean was tired, he had to sleep in the caravan while you did everything.
Yeah. But I remember it was wet last year. The first night of practice, it just absolutely pissed it down. And I literally sat in a van all day. And I remember saying to him, and I was like, what do you want to do? Do you want to, if it's wet, are we going out? And he's like, no, I'll probably not go. Just don't worry about it if it's wet. And then like a few bikes started coming up, and it's like, should we go? And I'm
That
like,
was Dean all over, yeah.
I'm like, fucking hell, right? So, and I was literally working, it was cool, it was in the back of the van, pushed it down on myself, got going. And that for me is like, it doesn't stop there because you've gone from Snetterton, you do a week at the Southern, but then I'm sure it's like
Back
that
into the
next
BSB.
weekend,
So
you're
the
at
BSB bikes had no preps. That's another late night, and fitting that in during the Southern week, it just didn't tie in together to do it efficiently and properly, you know.
And I think what it comes down to is like at the end of the day, we're all humans. You all need to get a haircut. You all need to sit on the sofa for a night and just put your feet up. You know, you need your unwind time. Because
As much as you love this,
you need
you
life,
need your time out of it as well.
Yeah.
You know.
And I reached a point of it takes its toll on you, doesn't it?
So, there's no other way of saying this. Was that the reason Dean left Dow at this point? Because of the seed was planted as far as going. We've won TTs, we've won Southerns, we've won it. Now, this is me speculating. I'm assuming you've stopped doing the roads because, well, you've won it all. You know, you've had, Dean, all that success. You're thinking the next challenge as Dow is to go and campaign for championship wins in BSB. So was that the reasoning?
I mean, if you look at it, you look at the history of the team. We obviously started World Supermoto. We claimed that championship. We then turned our hand to road racing. We got a senior TT win.
Yeah.
We obviously at the stage now where they want to focus on BSB, and you can guess what the goal is here. We'll work our way to it. Where it sort of went with Dean was they were throwing everything at it. We had him riding at BSB full time. And that wasn't in the intention of him winning the championship. It was like training for the roads,
and
it
that
worked. Yeah,
it worked flawlessly. It really did.
If you look at our progression with him on that, when he joined, we started him off in Supersport because I think when he joined us in 2016, I think he'd been to Brands once. And he broke his neck or something. He'd landed on his head. There was something like that as a Dean story.
He was riding Ian Bell's R6 like a northeast side of our way, thinking it's class.
And he'd been to Snetterton. I think those were the 2 circuits. So it's like, let's not throw it at the deep end. So we started him off on Supersport, then progressed him into Superstock, then progressed him into Superbike. And it was all development to get him more sharp and riding at the roads, and it paid off. Look, it come off in the end. And then obviously, but you do Superbike, and it's not to say we weren't trying here. Or of course, we'd have took a race win if it was an option, and we were going at it. And it become to a point with him where it was like, we're doing all this at the Isle of Man, and we're just suddenly finishing second all the time. So we tried changing a few things, and it's like tyres being one of them. That didn't pay off. there's a few other bits and pieces, and it was just sort of coming itself to a head that we were becoming a bit stale, and a change was due. And it wasn't necessarily like Dean decided to leave. It was just, as we were discussing things, stuff broke down, and it's like, well, actually, we opens up a new avenue for us, and we'll head down that. You know, but there's no animosity or hard feelings, and we still love to see him. He still calls around for a brew, and we have a catch up. And
like, we see that from a lot of people from the outside. Just see, like, right, you're leaving a team, and it's almost
you
like
fell out. Yeah,
you're like it's the ex-girlfriend you never speak to kind of scenario. But it's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
Even when you watch the telly carefully, it's like Samai and Clarissa are always chatting. Like, seem to always be chatting to Dean and speaking to yourselves, and it's refreshing to actually hear. You know, this side of the story, if you know what I mean. It's actually like, why did a match make in heaven? You know, and there's the answer.
And I think as good as for him and us, you know, both sides, like we'd agreed, a change is as good as any. What had we been together 6 years? You know, we'd had some great times, great memories. You know, in that time, obviously, watch both his kids grow as well. Yeah, it's nice to see. You still see them in the paddock, and every now and again,
kids to know your kids.
Yeah, well, you're walking through, and you just hear Johnny, and it's like Max whizzing past on a bike, and he's cool. He still spots you out and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's just, I think it got to that time where change was due, and that's what happened. There was no big argument or I'm leaving for this reason or that reason, and you know, we wished him well, and likewise.
It's refreshing.
So what have you? So obviously you're focusing on. Sorry, I keep doing this all the time. I've got a fidgeting thing.
The thing is, you get cozy, don't you? It's like you just lay back.
So you're obviously focusing on BSB now. What have you done differently from last year to this year to obviously you're not doing the roads. I get that, but have you made any like big changes in the team?
Riders. Riders was the biggest change.
Is that, am I right in saying the last 2 years? Is it last 2 years or last?
Just last year. Just this last year.
Two riders.
So
is that right?
Previously, which was our last year in 23. So like I said, we were sick of finishing second. We need to change something, and I'm not one to sit back and, you know, there's a saying somewhere where if you keep doing the same things will happen. I'm not sure what it is, but someone will think. But it's just so it was like 2019 we'd obviously won. I think we were out in 20 with COVID, and 21 we went back in 22, and it's like, I think that was that the year we changed tyres, or was it 23 we had?
22.
So it was like, right, well, you know, let's look at the top 10, and the logical choice is is what I normally go for. It's like the top 10 are on Dunlops, we're the only one on Metzler's. Let's give it a go. Is that why we're losing out? Is that why we're constantly second? It didn't quite pay off. Obviously, they come into an issue.
Kawasaki helped a bit. You know, they come on board with some more items, and then it was like, right, are we spread too thin? You know, we're not a huge team. We haven't got vast amounts of staff, or we didn't at the time. It's like Supersport. Does anyone really pay attention? Who won Supersport in 2018? Could you tell me? It's like, it's one of them. People remember senior TT winners. It's do we focus our attention on the big bikes? The Supersport's another bike to have that's like takes up your spares department. You've got to have bits for it. I've got you now, haven't I?
No. I'm trying to remember who won the senior.
He probably will.
No. I tell you what, if John McGuinness was sitting there, he'd know everything.
He's
an animal, isn't he? He's an
but that essence of like, right,
give me an answer, for God's sake.
So it was like that thing of like, right, well, we'll drop the Supersport and we'll concentrate solely on big bikes.
Because the principle is, even like the Supersport, although it's like, that's just the 600, it's not. It had everything that
Supersport bike we had was like, you wouldn't find a better 600, and we've still got it. If anyone wants it, it's up for sale. Contact me for details.
That 129 mile an hour bike is still up for sale.
Absolutely.
But,
holy fuck. Yeah. And it's got very low miles on it.
Yeah.
Well, that's besides
the point. We thrashed by Dean Harris.
I'll get him to sign it for you if that makes a difference. No. So it was like
to be able to afford it.
So we obviously dropped the 600 with the intention of like, right, is this where we're going wrong? Are we spread too thin? You know, like you look at the other big teams. Honda weren't running a Supersport, I don't think at the time. FHO running big bikes. There was someone else. It's like they're concentrating on purely big bikes. Is that what we need to do? Logical choice. Let's go down that route. And then the next step was the Superstock bike. You know what Dean's like, be all right until it's not. And you get there and it's like, well, you haven't been on this. You've done one lap round Alton in the rain. It's like, oh, this isn't right. That's not right. So I said, let's get a rider on board. Let's run a Superstock guy, a competitive one at BSB. Let's get him to iron out the tweaks.
Was that Brayden?
That was Brayden.
Yeah. That was Brayden.
So let's get him to iron out the tweaks. So when we hit the roads, your bike's pretty much developed and ready to go. And it's been ridden all year. And and that's how obviously Brayden came aboard. So that was our first year with two riders. Which then, once we departed from Dean in, must have been, 23.
Yeah.
24 this year, he sort of fell into the Superbike seat and we brought Danny on.
And so, like, with Danny, with So why the decision process around Danny? I feel like I'm degrading the thing. Obviously, Danny, was it solely because of his Kawasaki experience? Was he your number one candidate on that side of things?
Yeah, I think looking at him, he's a lot of potential. He ticks every box. You know, Danny is brilliant to work with. He's unbelievable. His character, everything about him, his professionalism. You know, he's
very south.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
south.
Yeah.
And he
is
my
very
geezer. I'm like, mate, slow it down. And that's come from a Geordie.
Yeah, but he's you know, he fit all the boxes, and again with his Kawasaki experience, I'm not going to say well, I'd be careful how to word it. People weren't jumping to be on a Kawasaki in a superbike class at that point, you know, and with him and his previous, and I'm confident and still confident that the Kawasaki we've got can win a BSB race. I think Halloran's proved that this year with the right rider on, and I think as a package it was a nice fit. His experience, he's had a bit of a rough year before, it's a bit of a comeback, he's got a point to prove. It all made sense of like, yeah, he's the one.
So if I was in your position a year ago, I think would have done the same thing. He seemed like a logical
100%
perfect fit.
And again, so I don't want any delusion that you know, I had a list of riders, someone that I could have thought would win the championship. On getting Danny on board, I wasn't going to go, right, this is our year, we're winning the championship for him. But that wasn't the instruction from above. It was like, we're still growing as a team. BSB, although we've been here, it's new now as a focus. Let's learn and grow as a team. And it's nice to have someone, you know, an owner like that gives you a bit of free rein, but also not piling on the pressure. And it was like, you know, this is where we want to aim at, and again, these are the goals we had set for him. So yeah, it was a choice. It was a logical choice to go with him, and sort of where we had aimed to be.
So actively at the moment, you and Danny as a team have departed company at the moment, haven't you?
That's at the end of this round.
At the end of this,
both Danny and
it's
Brayden,
end of the season, man. Where's that gone?
I know.
Don't even. We're here sitting here at Brands Hatch at the final round. It's nuts, man. Absolutely nuts. So at the end of this year, so it's a case of Javier. You can't really tell us because this show goes out in a week from now. But no, they're not going to tell us. But are you sorted?
Johnny's white shirts just come out of the bag somewhere.
I know, that's it. Exactly.
Positive, no comments. No, I can safely say we are sorted for next year. Obviously, you'll have seen the news with the manufacturer change that
now,
was released.
Let's fluff this pillow then, right?
Yeah.
So 10 years with Kawasaki.
Yeah.
How do you break up with a girl after that?
So again, I go back to
it's you, not me. No.
Yeah, I go back to the comment of the bike we have. You know, everyone's given the Kawasaki a dogging and a slating. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with our superbike. Put, you know, I think put the right man on that, and he'll do well. He'll win on that bike. Now, where it sort of broke down, and all it was discussions broke down with Kawasaki, is that there was some uncertainty of what would be available for the following year. And because of that uncertainty, we couldn't commit as a team. You know, I wouldn't want to take any steps back from where we're at. You know, I believe we've got a good bike as it is, but racing isn't going backwards.
No, it's not. And what I find interesting is like, oh God, was this the beginning of the year or middle of the year? Like Sam Lowe's has signed with the new world team, Bermuda.
Alex Lowe's.
Alex Lowe's, thank you, one of the Lowe's. And they've signed for Bermuda.
Yes.
Now, Bermuda, as far as I can put together, is a small factory that's been bought out by Kawasaki, but they specialise solely in race engineering.
Correct.
So they could make a bespoke motorcycle, and I cannot say this word, and you can.
Homologate.
Thank you, mate. You can tell I've said this a few times on the show, but they've brought it like from 500 down lower.
Yep.
What is that? What it is? 500 models? Is that what you got to build?
It used to be.
I think there's dispensation for
certain size factories.
Yeah.
So Kawasaki being such a
I believe.
humongous firm, I mean, the motorsport element is a dot on their map.
Yeah.
They make trains. There's rumours that they made the moon, and the moon's fake and stuff like
KHI
that.
is the biggest point of it, which is Kawasaki Heavy Industries, isn't it? So the motorsport thing of it is like a
tiny drop in the ocean. Like
They've got how did Chrissy Rouse put it that you would never said on air? They've got fuck you money, like properly they can do whatever they want. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they can do exactly what they want. So they've bought a motor that can specialise in make. The long story short, they can make specialist motorcycles and put the heart of a Kawasaki engine in.
Yeah.
Because let's be blunt, the Kawasaki makes power.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It makes power. So, is the door open? because you started this whole conversation off beautifully. People are like sheep. That is just how motorsport works. What's the best bike? That's the best bike. You want to go win, you've got to run with the pack. What happens if promoter, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, a couple of years ago, check that out. Could the door be reopened?
Who's to say?
Oh, you little tease, yeah. You know what I mean? It's just it's that kind of You can't look too far because then there's always that speculation about thousands going to still be blah 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 blah. But he's going to be on the phone at Kawasaki after this. I've been having a chat with this Geordie.
Why Honda?
It was decision of one of the owners.
Yeah.
Again, I think once those negotiations had broke down with Kawasaki and the we could see the door closing, it was kind of play the field, go, no, it was my job to go and speak to a few others, manufacturers, have meetings with them, gather all the information, sit down and, tell them what I think, which is sort of irrelevant, but then let them make their choice. And Honda was, I think, pretty close to her heart. I think she put something out the other week, did she, about a family's got Hondas or rides them or something like that. So, it's close to her heart. So that's the route she went down.
And by the way, speaking of higher power, I think your team boss, like your team owner, is one of the most fun people on the planet.
Yeah.
So
just as you're opening a Ford Irish Stout.
Did you shake that or something?
Never spill a drop.
Apology for everyone's eardrums that are now all bleeding.
No, I'll tell you what, that's audio pleasure. That we'll end up looping that somewhere. It'll be on OnlyFans next week. No, but seriously, your team boss, it's just I've only met collectively 10 minutes in 2 years.
Was it in a bar by any chance?
No, you know what I mean? But just in the paddock and everything, and she's got time of day for everyone.
Everyone.
Like, absolutely anyone. It's phenomenal. I think collectively those 8 minutes have been arguably the most fun 8 minutes.
Yeah.
In 1 minute interval, hello, goodbye, you're what happened? And you're just walking up the paddock, this is just class. But
I think that's one thing we're fortunate as a team, we're not reliant on pleasing several different sponsors. We're fortunate to have varied sponsors and bits and pieces that we're very grateful to have, but having just one team owner that's willing to fund pretty much the majority herself with just a pure passion for bikes.
Yeah.
And not just our team, the amount of people that she's helped in the paddock over the years is unbelievable. And
she supports Michael Dunlop as well.
Yeah.
Who is arguably, Michael Dunlop, John McGuinness. The list, like you say, is just
endless. Yeah, and it's all just down to passion, just how much she loves racing and seeing people grow with it all. And some of these people have been, I think she first come to BSB, I couldn't tell you when, but she's used to get autographs off the likes of these people and is now, helping them out in their careers. And she loves the fact people see her and acknowledge her and, likes the attention of it all. So it's good.
Is Irish for Conor McGregor's Irish for that actually tastes really good actually. But are they pleased how you've met Conor McGregor for a start, and secondly, is he going to be involved with Dow Racing next year?
We hope so.
What do you mean hope so? Oh, come on, you're such a... Johnny. I tell you what, Johnny, you sit there, Ben. Tell me everything.
This is going to be like that Steve Plater interview.
Mate, don't worry about it. We'll get you a job on here. You'll never touch a bike again. You'll brush your career. No, but it must be you're the management element. Do you are you enjoying it all still? Are you where do you want to go with it all?
Me?
Yeah.
Like I said, we had a good conversation the other day where there's a few bits going on. And I said, as far as even roles, whatever happens within the team, my best interest is within the team. So as long as everyone's happy, as long as the results are coming, you do what you have to do. And wherever the sort of path takes us, it's enjoyable. I can't say any bit of it at the minute is not enjoyable.
Do you feel like you're starting to get, because how long have you worked, because you had a little what's that, sabbatical furlough.
Furlough.
No, but arguably though, you'd cut you in half and it would be Kawasaki. You must know those things blindfolded.
That was the chat in the week as well. I was like, come Sunday, last race, I'd probably have a little tear in my eye, because it's been my bread and butter. It's what I've learnt my craft on. And everything comes to an end at some point. So it'll be a bit of a sad day. But on the flip side of it, it's sort of lit a fire in my belly again. So everything's new. There's a new challenge on the horizon. And just from what I can see so far on my behalf, I'm more than excited to get our teeth into it and see what we can do.
Still no road racing, then just focusing on BSB.
Just focusing on BSB.
And the change in manufacturing. So you guys have got a reputation for being incredibly well organised, and I know a few people that have like worked in your team and stuff. And I remember. I remember. Sorry, mate. He's going to punch us in a minute. I remember Paul, who used to work for you. He rang us and told us about your app thing that he's got for organising stuff, and I remember I've never heard a guy so excited basically about like electronic filing system.
Yeah.
And I was like, but it's class, because I don't think people probably realise the level of some of the teams like don't have anything like that.
Yeah.
So going to the standard that you guys operate at, what like the undertaking to change to another manufacturer, is it huge? Like, is it totally starting again, or
It's vast.
Yeah.
I'm expecting a busy winter.
Yeah.
And it's just, this is the side that people don't see. You know, they at a race weekend, they sort of see me swan around and tend not to do a lot. But if I'm doing a lot at a race weekend, it's because I haven't done my job properly through the week. Like, these boys put the effort in building the bikes, but to get all the bits here and the staff here, and nobody congratulates you, go, no, you know, all the hotel rooms were booked, thanks for that. Nobody comes in, oh, all the vans turned up on time, thanks for that.
Yeah,
it's
and
just
they're insured.
Yeah, and everything with it, and all the health and safety side of it, and it's just, it's...
And he can drive a wagon very well.
Well...
Wait,
Yeah.
no,
When I
I'm
need.
seriously, that's the only time I've never ever want to have a chat with you. You know, just stick your head out the cab and you're like, stay away from, like, you know what I mean? Jesus, man.
Yeah, but it's there's going to be a lot of work that takes to put it all in place, and like I say, do it properly and turn out the professional outfit that we want to be seen for. And it's something I've always looked around. You look at all the other teams and you always sit there thinking they're doing something we're not, but when you actually go in, you pick a few good ideas from them, and it's like, there's no reason we can't do that. There's no reason we can't be as good as what they're doing. And even at our level, you still do that now, and it maybe not so much when you get to a point in this paddock, but we were at Silverstone, Somai took us to the MotoGP. You know, that's looks after us very well, and I think that's why we're so loyal to the team, is we're certainly, everybody in the team is well looked after, you know. Took us there, all expenses paid the whole weekend, and it was on the grid and everything you could ask for, passes in and out the garages, and you're going around there going, actually, we're not too different to the level here. They've just got more expensive brake discs and more expensive this and more expensive that, and it's like you'd pick up one little thing like, that's not a bad idea, let's take that back, and you'd give it, what do you think of doing this? They'd be like, yep, crack on, do it, and it's so nice and refreshing to have someone like that to work for.
I think making it a good place to work is a good thing, isn't it? Especially in this industry where people's talent is like currency, really, isn't it? Like, you're not developing the bikes, are you? You're not Honda, you're not the manufacturer. So like, what you put together in the garage and how you put things together is important. So the people are so important, and if it's a good place to work, people want to go, don't they? I think
but it is, the garage is a nice place to be now, isn't it? It never was. It never wasn't, sorry, but no, it just feels, with what's happening and the time it's happening, it just feels right at the minute.
And it's something, like when we said before about how busy we are and like how much work gets on top of you, it's quite easy to say, oh, well, if you've not, just bring some more people in. But the problem is, people have to fit. It's a team. Everyone has to gel. You could have 40 blokes in there, but if none of them got on, it'd be terrible. It wouldn't work, and mistakes would creep in. It's a difficult thing to getting everybody to come in and gel and click. And I think we've got the balance, of it at the minute.
How many people work at Dow Racing?
At the minute,
he's working through the books.
I think
like full time and then weekend.
So full time, I think we got five.
That's 5 wages.
Five full time members, and I think there's 22 of us if you include Soma and Clarissa that tip up at a weekend. So that's down 22. To grid girls, to media, to physios, to riders included.
Some, but even just trying to coordinate 22 people. You ever tried to order a taxi on a night out?
Exactly.
People?
Yeah.
Get it on time.
Get it on time. But like,
before last orders.
Never. You somehow make it work though, don't you? You know what I mean? You always find that taxi. But like, you must have a number. A man of your organisation skill. So you've sat down. You've gone, right, Kawasaki, communication breakdown, blah, blah, blah. We need to make a change. And they've gone, all right, Johnny, what do you recommend? Well, Honda's this. And then the dreaded questions popped up. How much?
Never.
Bollocks.
Never.
No, I'm not saying, no. I'm not talking about from their point of view going, I'm not willing to spend the money. I'm talking about, it's going to cost this to change the... you stay in the same colours?
No.
Yes.
Not exactly the same.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
You should have just I don't think there'll be any green on
Grace,
it.
just edit that. Just take that bit out so we just wind everyone up. But no, but you're talking about shirts, everything. You know,
the
shirts, all
works.
the wagons, everything. You know, you're talking about like our good friend Gareth. You know, hanging, even a wrap a full Arctic.
Yeah.
That's brass. That is just straight up cheddar. You're thinking.
Well, I think
there
if
must
you
be-
looked at your team now, I'm going to take a random guess that it must cost them not far off £1 million to run 2 superbikes competitively in BSB.
Is that
That's not
what-
buying new bikes.
So what we've spent more than that this year already, but that does include purchasing stuff for next year, which, like you say, is an expensive change. And included in that already is we're getting a new Arctic trailer as well. I think that was something like 380,000.
Yeah. So even if you just said
So that to add to
hair gel
you've got all
prices.
that, you've got all the assets anyway,
Yeah.
just to run with 2 good riders at a decent level of BSB is £1 million, isn't it?
But you got
For 2-man superbike team.
Not far away, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I do budget myself less, but one fortunate point, like I was getting to before, with the owners, they encourage me to spend. I'm like, no, we don't need this and that. No, we can just get it. I was like, no, let's. And they're like, oh, you know, they're so good to work for.
Yeah.
I can't stress enough how easy it is.
It's actually really nice to hear that.
yeah,
There's
refreshing.
Not a lot of it, yeah.
Yeah.
the amount of people that could take advantage.
Well,
of
exactly,
that.
and that's something I've always not liked to see, and I think it's something that's going to be in more place next year than ever. Is just I think the majority of stuff's going to come through me. I think rather than heading straight to the owners, because I think because they have that generous nature and passion, they can't say no. You know? And I think a lot of people in the past have, they've been stung with it, and it's not nice to see because of their heart's always in the right place.
Without people like that in this, I mean, yes, it's a business and an industry, but it is a sport at the end of the day, and a lot of it's driven from passion, isn't it? You know, like without those people,
It's
they don't have to
entertainment.
spend that
Yes,
money.
no.
So, I mean, they're not making money out of racing.
No,
That's all
definitely
it
not,
costs,
no.
isn't it? So
Yeah.
without them people, like it just doesn't exist. The sport just doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Yeah.
So before we move on to the Patreon questions, and I feel like Josh has kind of asked the question, and I think you have actually. Will you ever go back to roads?
Never say never.
Yeah. Never
God,
say
you're
never.
a fucking tease, aren't you? Ben.
So
Ben from Australia.
yeah, on my behalf, like I think I probably missed it a bit more than. Oh no, I think we both missed it the same. But I went over this year because it's like, but that was the same thing. So you'll know this when you've been there for so long, so many years, and you go. Me and Callum flew over. One of the mechanics. We flew over an early morning. I can't remember what time it gets you in. It gets you in at maybe 6:30, 7 o'clock.
It's 2 o'clock in the morning, but 2:15.
Oh, no,
I've
this
been
was-
on long enough.
This was, I think we flew out.
Oh, flew out,
Yeah.
alright.
And then we got a taxi to the paddock, and it would have been 8 o'clock. So 8 o'clock in the morning, there's not much kicking off in the paddock. It's fairly quiet, and fronts are still down at this point.
No, where do I go?
Yeah, so we did a lap, and then it's like, oh, everywhere's a bit shut. And then it's like, so what should we do now then? And it's like, should we do another lap? And then I missed that point of, if you're there and you got your own truck, you're like, I'll just go sit in the truck for an hour. Or, I've got something to do. That side of it was hard. So for me, I got a soft spot for the roads, and I think my arm's easily twisted to...
Yeah, I mean, it's not we fell out with it. We're just on a new venture. But
Yeah,
as a personal experience, it's like you can't describe the Isle of Man to anyone. It's just if anyone says, "Oh, what's it?" Just go there. There's no words you can put in.
Is it
If they're experienced,
I just would love to we generally do not have enough time to actually for me to try and persuade you the whole team to come back, but the my little sob story is the fact of it has been a huge miss in the TT paddock. You know what I mean? To be blunt, the TT, the road specifically, we need. There's no other way of putting it. Factory teams there. We need infrastructural teams.
Yeah.
I mean, we are bloody brilliant, aren't we? That's why we've been.
but then you're bringing. You've got people like Dean Hart. You can bring up other competitive riders there, and it's having that. People don't see stripping gearboxes just because there's a slight flaw, changing heads up because of a tyre change. That story stemmed from a tyre change.
Yeah.
Right, we're gonna have to change gears, this and everything. that elevates a rider as well as their passion. And it's, I just, can you not make another, you know how Alan got a perfect example. OMG Racing, who sponsored the pod, by the way, didn't get them in, and JCT, Truck and Trailer Hire, just insert that there. But obviously, like OMG have like made a sister team, is that the best way to do it? WTF with James Hillier, and it's like,
and you,
can we not?
And you, I was going to say.
Yeah,
you're so modest.
I know, but like, can we not persuade Dow to kind of bring, because like Alan is bringing like OMG Racing, and to be blunt, he puts a different T-shirt on the gang, and then he comes over to the Isle of Man. You know what I mean? And it's actually
you've done that like.
No, they haven't. He hasn't got there with a fresh new white shirt. I didn't see a black one. Yeah, I've got a black. They are.
I quite admire it. Really, it's quite a good thing. You're basically saying like, we love going there, but you can only do. It's like you can't do 10 things at 100%. So we want to just do these things at 100%, and at some point you might go back and do the other thing. Like, it doesn't solve your problem, does it? Because you would just be going. It's not the T-shirt that's the problem. It's the fact that I know.
You could say bring in a separate team and a separate load of people, but who's to say they're going to be at the level we're on?
Yeah.
So it's like, who do you get? Who go and pick me some lads that I know, that I have full trust in,
and
the capability that I have in the boys I've got now. It's not to discredit anyone else, but it's like, and then you've got to build them. They've got to do it. It's not,
and especially
about
coming from a team that's done the roads for so long, you go there and you know how to do it. It's hard to bring people in to just go. You kind of expect someone to come along and be at that level, but
I'm going to use your terminology here. Never say never, but could that be done? Now I know exactly your whole point of going. You need to focus on one job, and that's what Dow Racing are doing now.
Yeah,
in British.
Yeah,
that's your gang. Bang. Could you build that sister team?
Could we? Yes.
Yeah.
Are we? Who knows?
Right, we're finishing there. Thank you very much. Leave it on a cliffhanger. No, but you know what I mean? For the future, like, roads, you know what I mean? There's actually, I read, like, while having a shite, Tanragee might be coming back. They've got resurfacing things. It's like, it's actually, roads is, I feel, it's great news. There might be a bit of a resurgence in it, you know what I mean? So Tanragee 100 coming back. Cookstown, there was this horrible little lull of going, that's the end of that. Well, there hasn't been any news. This is good. Cookstown might come back, and then let's rebuild some momentum. But it's like, I just want to kind of plant the seed with you, Gordon. It's like,
it's been planted, mate. It's been planted.
Good. No, but like just keep.
Whether it grows or not,
it might not. No, yeah, he's going to pick it up. Fuck. That's it. And that was a waste of my energy. No, but you know what I mean. It has. My point is, it's been a big miss not having Dow Racing in the paddock this year.
Thanks, mate.
So that's a bit of emotional blackmail for you there on that side of things. But there we go.
I think the thing is,
especially
if you could, you would.
Especially you.
Don't falter. Don't panic. Yeah, I think again, if we could, we would. I think we'd be there.
It's more like you say, you try and do the best job you can with what your focus is on, and trying to do it all.
If you want to win a BSB title, you can't go and do all the road racing and do BSB.
No, you
unless you've got another.
You can do everything,
guys.
but badly.
Yeah.
There we are. I like it. You got any more? I tell you what, you got any more questions before I move on to the patrons?
Fluff the
pillow. Oh, they are. Alex Chapman, will you return to the TT? Straight off. Sorry, mate. I do apologise, Alex Chapman. No, we naturally go through the conversations on these kind of things. Do you wish you had switched to Honda for this season and kept Dean Harrison? So yet again, we've kind of, that's from Conor Henry. We've kind of discussed that already. That it was going down that path.
I think
naturally
you don't look at life with any regrets. I think changes happens for a reason. It's going to help us grow as a team. So.
But you probably wouldn't have kept him, would you? Because his focus has changed, and his focus is clearly
still on roads, and our focus isn't roads. So
it wasn't the bikes, was it? It was the direction he's headed.
Yeah.
Yes. So fair.
Right. Well, my final question. I've got another one from Jess there, but for a wind up, I can't read that. It's a long message. So Jess, love you, mate, but getting shut down. So. The white shirt. Get a gearbox, Josh. Yeah. Let's go for it.
He's about to get his hands dirty.
Can we play the hint game? Can we have a hint? The new rider game.
Yeah.
We can take this out.
Here we go.
I'm leaving this completely up to Johnny.
Are they new to the paddock?
No comment.
Shit off. I know where this Ben.
I've been in this game for long enough.
You're wasting your breath. He's all sorted though, and
we are. Yeah. So what I can reveal
is it a previous champion?
No comment. We do have a 2-rider lineup.
That means yes.
Yeah, 2-rider lineup. Both are done, dealed, and signed.
Yeah.
We are revealing one
Please be.
prior 11th of November.
Hold
And
on,
what I will
hold on, let
put
me
a
just
plug in
work-
for
oh,
is
miles
we
away from it.
are, I'm sure you'll have seen snippets of it, our documentary series, which is a sort of behind the scenes thing on Dow Racing. It's less of on-track action and more of the
Class.
drama that goes on in the background. That is coming out on
17th of
the
October, this
17th.
Thursday.
Yeah, October, and it's going to be 6 episodes every Thursday. And keep an eye out because there may be a rider reveal in one of those.
Where in what platforms?
just in a
YouTube.
bin liner.
YouTube.
Class.
YouTube.
And
YouTube
is it
channel.
going to be out in Australia as well?
For your home fans. Yeah, just a different time.
It's upside down.
Yeah.
Mate, I'm genuinely so sorry for you. I'm just like,
every time you
speak now, like, I can hear it.
The best bit was it was the first thing you said to him. Oh, yeah, just to get it right, you are Australian. No.
Oh, mate.
Oh, we've been debating it for 20 minutes.
But I get it.
before.
I do get it all the time.
Oh, mate, but you know, you've just look Australian. You're fun.
Oh,
You've got a beard.
Maybe where a bit of it came from as well. So there was a lad. We
This is
missed
when
out.
he's going to walk out here going, I can't believe they don't think like I am 100% Australian and they think I'm not.
We missed out on quite a key point. So in 2014 and 15, when we went to the Northwest and TT and stuff for the first time, there was a guy came over, Richard
Richie.
Dibben, who, you see, Davey Todd's been over and done Cemetery Circuit.
God, I want to do that race.
So-
I'm desperate to do that race one day.
So Richie,
From Wanganui.
Yeah.
He basically come over like the New Zealanders do trips to Europe. Not sure why, because New Zealand's like brilliant. Don't know
Yeah.
why you'd want to leave, but they do. Long story short, he was basically like, oh, there's a job there. Ended up staying for 2 years when he was on like a 6-week trip.
yeah,
Came
came along to everything.
along. He ended up staying. He slept on the sofa at Miles, didn't he, for a while?
Yeah, so then, because then I didn't, well, not like me, but I didn't want to commit. So I was like, we all lived together, but then them two rented together. And I basically just lived on an airbed for like 3 years. But I used to get, there's a funny story behind it. So my part of the deal was paying for a broadband package with MotoGP. So I think all in it was still 100 and something quid.
What a household to live in.
But then it ended up stinging me because when Mal passed away, I'd moved out by this point. Richie had moved away.
Back home.
Yeah. And I wasn't paying for it, but the account was in my name. So obviously his cards and stuff all got cancelled. I just kept getting emails from BT and I'm like, 500 and something quid. I'm like, no, ignore it. But because like you can't just cancel an account, I ended up getting like a 600 quid bill at the end of it because it was in my name.
Yeah.
So I was like, he had the last laugh.
100%
Yeah.
had the last laugh on that.
But yeah, it was a pretty cool time. It was just like 3 young lads living in a
Jackson
rented
wore
house.
off on you, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I would not have wanted to be your landlord.
No. It was actually pretty good. Like,
I'm sure that the address wasn't something like 321. It may as well have been like Joke Street, wasn't
Yeah.
it? It was something like that. In the middle of
three-
Bolton.
52 Zoo Lane.
Yeah. And you can just imagine it was. None of us were really like massive drink. It wasn't like, oh, I'll just get on the drink. We'd have a drink, but it was more just random things that would go on. It was like,
Yeah.
I
We'll
think-
leave that there.
yeah, I think it was.
I'm in charge of the buttons. That was Chrissy's last laugh on me. That's it. I'm in charge of the buttons.
So yeah, back to my point of because he was from New Zealand, I spent a lot of time with him, so that's probably where half of the twangs come from as well.
There we are. I love it. I tell you what, my final. We are on the eve of Brands Hatch. The final is about to kick off. I want your predictions before we let Hayley Coxon let you out the door. She has a podcast. I can't remember the name of the podcast.
And if you've signed any of the predictions, blink twice.
Got dry eye all of a sudden. Yeah.
I just blinked twice. I watched
It's close to call, isn't it? I don't think I want to pick one.
No.
You have to. It's Chasin The Racing. This is after the fact, so whatever you say doesn't matter anymore.
We should
Yeah.
run
Yeah,
a poll.
the problem is, I start looking at it like, well, Glenn's a bit of a doer, but Kyle goes well round.
Glenn
here, but
doesn't-
he's this, and it's like,
He's on the
and Tommy
back
really
foot,
wants it, and it's
isn't
like
he?
they've all got something going. It's like,
Kyle in those damn horrible conditions this morning was very, do I dare say, un-Kyle-like.
but then he just,
He pulled Tommy 10th, Kyle 5th at that point, and you thinking, he's got that bite there. He's rolling on the confidence.
yeah.
So
What do you think? What do you think? No,
Down,
whoa,
yeah,
no,
so-
whoa, bollocks to that.
Yeah.
You're Mr. No
I'd-
comment. You're first.
Yeah, so I will say I don't want to cause any jinx, so I wouldn't give an answer, but I'll give an answer. For me, regardless of what happens, Kyle's ridden well all year. There's been some rides where the conditions haven't been brilliant, but he's had a champion's ride in them conditions.
He's been strong at the end of races and stuff as well, real impressive. I think Kyle as well.
But what's your answer? Is it Kyle?
Yeah.
It's gone Kyle there. I felt like there was a but there. I'm like, but it's going to be Tom.
How far is Glenn back?
There would have to be a mess up from
them
Tommy
two have to have a shit race or something, and then he's kind of back in the mix.
So I was going to say, Glenn is a do around here. I think he'll win the majority of races, but whether that'll make the championship,
it depends on.
So then let's play devil's advocate. I'm going to go Tommy. If you're going Kyle, I'll go Tommy.
And do
the
they,
Honda connection.
Yeah. And do they have to? Nice. Is it the situation where they basically just have to beat each other?
It's going to be like basically for moving Glenn a second, because he can still win it, obviously. if something goes on. But Kyle and there's 4 points between them, so it's literally whoever the fuck finishes first. So no one can follow each other home.
No.
But Erwin was quick this morning. Andy Erwin was pretty quick today, wasn't he? He's fourth. Like he might get in and spoil a few.
But that's the thing. You can have a few wild cards. And now the worst thing is, now I like wet racing, but it's almost a shame that, if it's just wet, it just throws in such the joker card, doesn't it?
It's wet in 5
especially
degrees.
for a final. You know what I mean? It's just like that. We'll just put that there. See,
Or this morning, like ice racing, we could have a bit of frost on track.
Oh, we did that. We did that this morning.
I was like Croft North East. That was class, man.
No.
All right, hold on. What about Stockfowl, Talbot, and Davy Todd? This is the Honda thing again here.
Yeah.
But go.
What does anybody? Where's that?
Todd 5 ahead.
No, it's not. It's 16.
16 ahead.
Yeah.
For Talbot.
Yeah.
Is he?
I'm gonna check.
Fine.
It's quite a lot.
And then Kennedy. Hold on.
Kennedy's 19 points in front of front of Curry.
Well,
I'd like Luke Stapleford to win. I'm going to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Big up, Luke.
Yeah.
And that's nothing against anyone else. Just
what's with the foot thing? It works. Whatever he does,
Whatever
keep
he's
doing
doing is working.
I think he's staying as well, isn't he? He's staying in that championship with that team, I think.
That's good. That is good. Because he's come and gone, hasn't he? I don't think out of his own choice on that side.
Which is good. Which is nice to hear, actually. Like,
yeah,
bit of consistency for someone. Yeah.
I think a lot of Luke as a rider
and a person.
He's got grit.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Hold on, we're going to get this.
I'm going to check here.
Oh God, come on, Josh.
I'm going to throw it out there. Davy Todd. Let's just
Davy Todd. Todd's riding that
got
crest of the wave. But I tell you what, they've forgotten about Scott Swan. I think I said this on the Whitton one. You know what I mean? Scott Swan will just put the gum shield in. Nah.
Davy's 11 points in front.
He's got a cushion on that side. So happy days. But I tell you what, my final thank you of this episode, obviously by our sponsors. And who's our episode sponsor?
Motorcomps, Grace will put the website in the description, but there's a CTR10 for 10% discount off the launch products.
And obviously OMG Racing and JCT Truck and Trailer Hire. But I must say thank you to the ever-wise Chrissy Rouse, because he said years ago about having you on, and he made a horrible mistake. He shouldn't have invited you. It's been terrible. It's been horrible, and I'm just glad that we've got that. No, but lads, honestly, thank you so much, because we know how busy you lot are at race meetings. It's a Friday night before the final weekend, so thank you so much for taking the time to get on Grace's show here. And thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
And more important, Hayley, thank you for herding them here. And one more request for myself: can you bring the Irish Forge girls next time, please? That would be outstanding.
You're going to chat with our grid girls tomorrow. Set that up.
Oh, mate, there wouldn't be a chat.
The first time you're speechless.
I know. That's it. That's the way to do it. That is the way to do it.
But
there you go.
Just from me, these podcasts that are going are brilliant. The amount of time I spend in a van driving, and honestly, just different insights into different people. So it doesn't have to be a rider. It doesn't have to be somebody in a team. No matter what it is, everything is interesting. So, thank you for keeping the podcast going.
That's it. No, Grace is there. No,
thank you. Thanks for coming.
Chris owes me one. No, but hey, thank you so much. And we'll let Grace get back to. Obviously, Grace lives in this, which is mad. Not permanently, by the way. If anyone listening,
she just keep her here.
She does it, but at the end of the day, Grace grew up here. This racing is the same reason we're all here. It's her whole life is here. And
speaking of being here, where did you qualify today, Dom?
Yeah, he had to get this in.
Yeah,
Jo-
we haven't spoken about that.
That's good. Yeah, Josh Corner is currently out-qualified me just so I can knock him
Oh, I like how he says currently.
Currently, we got the heat race means, I'm going to beat you. It's like, mate,
You'll
mate
see
I'm
me
putting that out there. Wait, mate, you and me, you and me in Ward 10. Like that going, what was your lap time, dickhead? It's going to be a lap.
See me and Johnny in pit lane tomorrow.
Yeah,
That's it. I'm getting dressed up as full Sonic.
Right.
So BMW rang us. So my first factory ever, BMW are the vehicle partners of the new Sonic the Three Hedgehog film.
Yeah.
So they've got the S1000 track bikes out all done up, and they've got one of the F900s. So they've given me a blue lid with Sonic. Hayden Gibson, one of my mates, he's sprayed it up and everything like that. Blue levers, red boots, white gloves, full Sonic livery.
Nice.
It's just mad.
Are you going to go as fast as him?
But that's the thing, isn't it? They couldn't,
That's the slowest Sonic I've ever seen. That's awesome.
I'm in focus, Johnny. I'm in focus. I'm here to sell a film, mate. But it's literally win it or bin it. And Josh is like, oh, yeah. So we've done this and done that. And I just turned to Josh and went, are you covering your crash damage? He goes, yeah. I went, that's good to know, because I'm not. But well, on that note, yet again, thank you. And Josh, good luck, mate. Fuck you. Right. Right, honestly, yet again, sponsors, everyone, thank you so much. And good night.
Thanks.
See you in a bit.
Cheers.
Fuck you. I'm getting that edited out.